Chapter 690, It seems like we're about to find something special. Feng Wei looked around for a long time and walked through several tunnels. He discovered a hopeless fact: there was no way out. It was as if this place was sealed, with no way in or out. The only exit was the teleportation formation. But going back would mean death. He had disappeared for so many days. Once caught, he would surely endure unimaginable torment. With his current physical health, he couldn't bear it. He still had hope. He had hope in the person he had come here with. For the first time, he felt that working with someone could also be enjoyable. The person wouldn't kill him or use him. At first, he had prepared to be murdered, but this person did nothing except mine. Even if the ores here were exceptional, he would find a way to take them out. Otherwise it was useless. Upon careful consideration, he understood that the person could get out of here unlike him. When he returned to the formation, Feng Wei sensed a presence. He saw that the person was sitting cross-legged and was enveloped by power. There were signs of a breakthrough. Is this an advancement? Is he going to advance to the Golden Core realm? But it didn't seem like it. His cultivation realm was low and he couldn't discern the realm of the person in front of him, but it seemed much stronger than the Golden Core realm. After hesitating for some time, Feng Wei sat down and guarded one of the tunnel entrances to prove his goodwill. The next day at noon, Jianghu suppressed the energy in his body and opened his eyes. He looked around and saw Feng Wei sitting in meditation in the distance. There was no one else nearby. He heaved a sigh of relief. In the past, after an advancement, he could usually see Hong Yuya. This time, her not being there surprised him. With Hong Yuya around, he couldn't mind. The white bubbles could affect his body and make him easily noticeable. So, having someone like that around was sometimes troublesome. "Congratulations, senior," said Feng Wei. Jianghu nodded. "Did you not find an exit, friend?" "No," Feng Wei said with a bitter smile. "It seems this way is sealed and it's not easy to find a way out. There may be an exit, but with my current strength, I'm not capable of finding it." Jianghu understood. Sometimes the door was right there, but if your level was not high enough, you couldn't perceive it. "Are you planning to go back then?" he asked. Feng Wei shook his head. "I want to try again. How about you, senior? Are you going back?" "In a while," Jianghu said. "He would have to return. If he was discovered, he would go back to his sect. If not, he would consider himself trapped here." With that in mind, he turned to the formation. He could destroy it and no one would be able to come in here. However, this was still the Xinyuan clan's formation. If he destroyed it, it might create issues. It wasn't worth it. Shaking his head, Jianghu closed his eyes and began refining his cultivation. He extracted all his cultivation and lifeblood. As for other things, he was in no hurry for now. In the evening, Jianghu had finished refining his cultivation. He was at the peak now. "Now, I wonder if there is a gap between my strength and the sect's top disciple. I haven't seen the top disciple yet, so I don't know their cultivation realm." After some thought, Jianghu decided to continue mining. This time, Feng Wei followed him, which made him cautious. "Let's mine together," Feng Wei said. Jianghu looked at him. After some hesitation, he asked, "What cultivation technique are you practicing?" Feng Wei was momentarily stunned. "The 100 transformations of spirit control." "Can you show it to me?" Jianghu asked. After a slight hesitation, Feng Wei handed over a book. Jianghu sat down and activated his clear and pure heart ability. It took him about a night to study the technique with his current knowledge and the boost from his divine ability. He then said to Feng Wei, "Practice it. I will teach you." After half a day of explanation, Feng Wei finally had a sudden realization and fell into deep meditation. Jianghu breathed a sigh of relief. He then started mining. They were too far away and he had used the Heavenly Secret's hidden talisman. When it expired, he would go near the formation to mine. This time he struck a rich vein. He kept mining until early September. With Feng Wei's significant increase in cultivation, he had no more interest in mining. Clang. A crisp sound rang out, and Jianghu found that the wall in front of him was unusually hard. He touched the stone and found that it was also an ore but much harder than the ones outside. Could this be an even rarer type of ore? He decided to mine the surrounding area first. If it caused trouble and he had to leave, it would be a loss not to have mined the ore nearby. He had only just started mining when he felt the stone tablet vibrating. There was a gathering tonight. I need to think about what happened in the last gathering and prepare. When he was mining, he had put his things aside. But he needed to find his notebooks again. Hong Yuya wasn't here yet, but it was only a matter of time. Becoming stronger was essential, but staying alive was more important. There were some powerful individuals that he couldn't afford to provoke. He put away his tools, took out a notebook, and began reviewing the information from the previous gathering. He also needed to see what had happened recently and whether he could gather more information from the gathering. Coincidentally, he could also check what had been happening in the south. Gui must be keeping an eye on it. Was he caught? In the Black Heaven sect, Baizhu appeared surprised. Yes, this time we went for him too. After getting the news, we rushed over only to find some ruins. After asking around, we learned that Yin Zichen had been caught. We don't have clear information about who did it. It might be some relatively powerful sect in the south. We plan to visit them one by one. Yin Zichen has taken some things from our sect, and we need him to return them. As for his personal well-being, we don't care, said a middle-aged man. Baizhu nodded and then handed over a pill. Take this, it can heal the injuries on your body. By the way, if you know where Yin Zichen is, can you inform me? The Heavenly Spirit tribe also has grievances with him, and we want to find him. All right. The middle-aged man took the pill. After the man left, Baizhu sighed. This is troublesome. I thought we were about to find him, but now it seems that someone else is involved. I don't know where to look. If it's some small sect, it's fine, but I'm afraid of being caught by major sections. Yin Zichen was not weak. Ordinary sects wouldn't be able to catch him. How did you figure that out, princess? Jiahui asked. He was injured. I happened to be there and offered to heal him. That's how I know, said Baizhu. Not everything requires scheming and deceit. Sometimes when we are honest and sincere, we can't help each other out. If it wasn't something important, nobody would look for it. We can't ask about what he might have taken from the Mountain Sea Sword sect. What Xiaoyi wanted to know was how the princess had figured it out. Suddenly, Baizhu seemed to sense something and smiled. It's all right. There may still be more information. For now, let's pay attention to the Grand Earth Emperor's affairs. We've already come this far. Chapter 691. Jing quietly reveals the answer. Greetings, Senior Dan Yuan. Jianghu and the others respectfully greeted him. After several months, they had finally gathered here once again. Dan Yuan inquired about their cultivation progress. Everyone hadn't cultivated any new techniques, so there were no major issues. So, do we have any news about the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl? Jianghu asked. The end of all things has stopped for now. They're probably waiting for the people from the Mountain Sea Sword sect. However, they are still preparing, and so far they don't know the specific location. If they find out, there will likely be a major battle, Gui said. It's alright if we find it at the same time they do. At that time, we can inform the immortal sects, and their people will naturally take action. Any sect in the south will have to cooperate, Lu said. Just be careful we aren't too late in finding it out. Someone is definitely keeping an eye on the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, and they've probably considered everything. Even though they are extremists, they are not fools, Xing said. Jianghu felt that now was the right time. It's in Devil's Den in the Heavenly Note sect. Gui, who had initially intended to discuss the matter, suddenly paused. She looked at Jing in disbelief. What did Jing just say? She asked the other two beside her. Xing and Lu glanced at her but did not speak. They were also shocked. The Earth Extreme Silent Pearl had not only been found but its exact location had been revealed. Are you sure, friend Jing? Dan Yuan asked. I've seen it, Jianghu said calmly. Gui felt a cold shiver run down her spine. Jing was indeed fated to encounter such things. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the Nine Nether, the Earth Extreme Heart Devouring Pearl, and now the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl were somehow connected to him. Dan Yuan nodded. If the information is accurate, then it's enough. What would you like, friend Jing? Have you thought about taking the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl? Jianghu shook his head. Having too many powerful items was dangerous. It was better to send it to the eastern region. Is the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl under the control of the Heavenly Note sect? Xing asked. If that was the case, who would dare to approach that area? It shouldn't be, Gui said. I remember that the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl is also in that area. Perhaps they were all sealed in the same place. In that case, I think we should deal with the end of all things rather than breaking the seal, Lu said. That would indeed be the best course of action. The Earth Extreme Silent Pearl had remained stable for many years. It was better to leave it that way. The end of all things is not easy to deal with, Gui said. We can pass the news about the end of all things to the immortal sects in the south. Even if we don't take action, we can still keep everyone informed and ready, Dan Yuan said with a smile. Jianghu nodded. This plan seemed to be the best. The immortal sects would send people to investigate, and they would know the exact situation since they had information about the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl. They didn't need to worry about alerting the enemy. However, he hadn't yet thought about what reward he should ask for. He might need Gui's help, and if there was no other option he could use it toward an exchange. After Dan Yuan finished speaking, it was time for trade. Gui immediately took the lead. I want to mention it again. Yin Zichen's task is still valid and ongoing. Help me find him. If you can find his whereabouts, that'll count too. I thought you already found him? Lu asked curiously. Yes, but someone took him away. So far, even the Mountain Sea Sword sect doesn't know about his location, Gui said in annoyance. I also inquired about Wu Yang. There was such a person who came to the south. He seemed to have conflicts with someone. After that, he disappeared. Lu nodded. I heard about it too. It said that the person who acted had very concealed methods. They left no traces. In the south, there aren't too many forces with such strength. Yin Zichen said the same thing. I suspect that the person who acted might actually be a group of people. I'm just a bit puzzled about why they would abduct these two individuals, Gui said in confusion. Lu thought for a moment. There is another possibility. I recently looked into Yin Zichen and found that he had contact with the people of the Heavenly Tower. He may have known Wu Yang before everything happened. Gui suddenly said, So, you mean these two individuals might have met and when one of them was targeted they were both abducted together? That's a possibility. Lu nodded. Jianghu was surprised. He knew that a member of the Heavenly Tower was held captive in the Lawless Tower. That person was most likely Wu Yang. As for Yin Zichen, it was unclear if he was to the Lawless Tower. If their assumptions were correct, Yin Zichen would also be in the Lawless Tower. Jianghu needed to go there and confirm whether this was true. If he found information on Yin Zichen, Gui could help him deliver a message to the Sunset Immortal sect. Dan Yuan's reward could also be saved for future use. As for Xing, he had no tasks. Jianghu as always remained silent. I need a cultivation technique from the Heavenly Spirit Tribe, said Gui. The Heavenly Spirit Tribe's techniques include the Heaven Bestowing Technique, 6 Earth Attribute Techniques, and 9 Sages Techniques, Xing said to Gui. Which one would you want? The Heaven Bestowing Technique will do, Gui said. All right. I'll give it to you next time, Xing said. Jianghu couldn't help but admire Xing. He was truly a gifted disciple of an immortal sect. He had made the Clear Sky School's freedom technique readily available to them. Now he was willing to get the Heavenly Spirit Tribe's Heaven Bestowing Technique. Jianghu doubted even Lu from the Heavenly Tower could get them so easily. Most of the techniques requested in the gathering were fulfilled by Xing. He had provided them with Shifting Stars, Star Moon Refinement Technique, Myriad Body Technique, Freedom Technique, and also the Freeform Technique. What do I have to give in return? Gui asked. It would be great if you could go to the Black Heaven sect and witness the Shenyuan sword. If possible, please use a magic treasure to imprint it with the sword intent of the Shenyuan sword, said Xing. Gui felt reluctant. That is a bit troublesome. I don't know where the Shenyuan sword is. It's at the Black Heaven sect on the Sun Moon Peak, Xing said. Gui nodded. Sun Moon Peak. Jianghu was surprised. Isn't that where I have been mining? Had he unknowingly come across the sword? If the Shenyuan sword successfully manifests in the treasure, I will help you. But if it doesn't, then I am powerless to do anything, Gui said. All right. You'll need to go somewhere to get the magic treasure, Xing said. The manifestation of the Shenyuan sword's intent requires the core of the burning immortal formation, Jianghu said. The others were surprised. Xing breathed a sigh of relief. I have it. He revealed the core of the burning immortal formation. This didn't require any compensation because it was meant for everyone. This way, under the right conditions, the people at the gathering would be able to use it. I happen to be at the Black Heaven sect right now. I can try to go and look around the Sun Moon Peak, Gui said. Jianghu was speechless. Chapter 692, Senior Brother, Watch Me Show Off. Gui would head to the Sun Moon Peak. Jianghu was at the foot of that peak. The presence of rare ores there had a reason. It seems I have to finish mining as soon as possible and get out of there. Jianghu had never expected that the one who would drive him back to the sect wouldn't be an enemy but an acquaintance from the gathering. However, there was still some time left. Gui would have to get the magic treasure first, then figure out a way to break the enchantments around the place, and only then would he be able to enter. He needed to be ready to leave at any moment. After the exchange they talked casually. Gui shared information about the Black Heaven sect and told them that many sects had headed that way, including the Mountain Sea Sword sect. However, because they all had tasks related to the end of all things, they probably wouldn't linger there for long. There wasn't much news about the Saint Bandits, and the Fallen Immortal clan were the most likely culprits. Xing also mentioned that the Fallen Immortal clan had grievances with the Grand Earth Emperor, but that probably wouldn't affect the Emperor's appearance. Why is that? Gui asked. It might be related to the Shenyuan sword. The sword has been dormant for a long time. It is probably sealing something related to the Fallen Immortal clan, Xing said. His theory was the most likely true. A divine weapon like the Shenyuan sword wouldn't stay inert for so long. Something must have held it back. Now that the Shenyuan clan was beginning to rise, various seals, including those related to the Shenyuan sword, were starting to break. Gui instinctively looked at Jianghu and wondered if it had something to do with him. Why are you looking at me? That has nothing to do with me. Jianghu felt that these people were very deeply involved. They seemed to be keeping a close eye on him as if ready to pounce at the slightest provocation. Lu discussed overseas affairs. He mentioned that the Astronomical Academy had discovered something and was tracing the whereabouts of a senior. The senior was most likely overseas, but it was just a guess and no one paid it much attention. Jianghu was interested in Shang'an, but no one mentioned him. So far, Gui hadn't encountered anyone from the Clear Sky sect. However, it was certain that they were somewhere in the southern region. Overseas individuals had initially intended to teach King Hai Luo a lesson he would never forget, but because of the ancestral dragon's heart, they had been distracted. By the way, there's one more thing. Lu looked at Jianghu. According to the information I received, Qi Tian has gone to serve under Heavenly King Tamo. Due to his background, he has been promoted and can even meet King Tamo if needed. However, I can still deliver a message to him if you want. Jianghu was surprised by Qi Tian's progress. He had no intention of meeting Qi Tian at the moment. He preferred to let him be for now. As for the message, he didn't need to tell Qi Tian anything right now. He would consider it if Qi Tian tried to double-cross him again. He didn't need Qi Tian's loyalty. It would be enough if he just gave him some information. That would be his buffer if Hong Yuya asked about Jianghu's progress. The gathering concluded. When Jianghu opened his eyes again, he immediately took out his notebook and began recording everything that had happened at the gathering. The information about the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl had been shared with Dan Yuan and others at the gathering. They needed to be vigilant for any approaching powerful individuals. He also had a pending reward for providing the information. Inzichen might be in the Lawless Tower. The Shenyuan sword was at the Sun Moon Peak, and Gui might be visiting soon. The other information was about Qi Tian getting promoted and working under Heavenly King Tamo. Some people were planning a retaliation against Heavenly King Hai Luo, and about the Astronomical Academy searching for their senior. There was no information on Shang'an. This information wasn't very important, so Jianghu didn't note it down. He took note of the 3 techniques of the Heavenly Spirit Tribe: the Heaven Bestowing Technique, 6 Earth Attribute Techniques and 9 Sages Techniques. This was important information. After putting away his notebook, Jianghu looked at the mine. Finally, he reached the solid ore he had found earlier. He didn't have much time left, so he decided to attempt digging this rare ore. There was a possibility that he might find something special, so he needed to be prepared. In the early morning on the Sun Moon Peak, Shenyuan Tai sat cross-legged and practiced his breathing technique on the highest point of the peak. It seemed as if he could merge with the mountain and become one with it. Despite still being at the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm, his aura was extraordinary. It felt as though his aura concealed unfathomable power. In front of him was a golden flower that seemed to resonate with him as if they shared a deep connection. After some time, Shenyuan Tai opened his eyes and looked at the flower. He let out a sigh. "Senior brother, do you know the whereabouts of the human emperor's sword?" Shenyuan he asked. She had been waiting beside him. "Yes, I do." Shenyuan Tai nodded. Shenyuan he asked eagerly. Near Islt, Shenyuan Tai looked down at the ground. "Right here." "Here?" Shenyuan he was astonished. It's beneath the Sun-Moon Peak, Xinyuan Tai said. So close? Then why haven't any of the seniors discovered it yet? Xinyuan he was surprised. Because the Xinyuan sword suppresses the fallen immortal clan's most important treasure. This sword cannot be allowed to emerge, even if the emperor has been gone for a long time. His sword still guards this land. Xinyuan Tai sighed. Can't it emerge if you become the Grand Earth Emperor? Xinyuan he asked. Xinyuan Tai chuckled. You may have misunderstood, junior sister. The human emperor is the human emperor, and the Grand Earth Emperor is the Grand Earth Emperor. They are two different things. The Grand Earth Emperor is a title bestowed by the mountain and the sea, while the human emperor is a unique designation. To become the human emperor, one doesn't need to be blessed by the mountain and the sea, but they would need to be revered by all clans in the world. Xinyuan he was surprised. Does that mean the Xinyuan sword can't ever be released? She asked in disappointment. Not exactly, Xinyuan Tai shook his head. As Xinyuan he was about to ask further, a young woman came flying toward them on a sword. Senior brother Xinyuan, senior sister Xinyuan, it's been a long time, said Baizhu. She smiled and landed in front of them. Junior sister Baizhu, what are you doing here? Xinyuan he was surprised. I've returned from a long trip. What are you two talking about? Baizhu asked. We were discussing the Xinyuan sword, Xinyuan he said. Oh, I came here for that. I know the location of the Xinyuan sword, Baizhu said mysteriously. Can you guess where it is? Where is it? Xinyuan he was surprised. Baizhu pointed to the ground. Right beneath our feet under the sun-moon. Both Xinyuan he and Xinyuan Tai were taken aback. They had just learned about it, but it seemed Baizhu had already found out. I know how to make the Xinyuan sword emerge. Do you want to hear about it? Asked Baizhu in delight. Junior sister Baizhu, since you know so much, you must also know that the Xinyuan sword is suppressing something below. It won't emerge until we deal with those issues, Xinyuan Tai said. Oh, is that so? Baizhu raised her eyebrows and smiled. What if I tell you that I have the core of the burning immortal formation? Xinyuan Tai narrowed his eyes. Chapter 693, The Xinyuan Sword. Jianghu breathed a sigh of relief. He was now well prepared, with hidden purple energy around him. If any issues arose, this purple energy would defend him. This would buy him time to escape. Senior. Feng Wei walked over to him. Jianghu thought for a moment. Stay here. Don't move around. Perhaps he might still need Feng Wei's help. Although Feng Wei didn't quite understand, he nodded. Jianghu approached the hard ore and swung his pickaxe. In just a few days Gui would arrive. He needed to quickly dig out something rare from this place. With enough harvest he could advance faster. He thought that it was even possible for him to reach the late stage of the return to Void Realm in this. Clang. Clang. Jianghu continued to dig, but he only found white bubbles. There were very few blue bubbles at that. After a while he couldn't dig with the pickaxe. He had to take out the primordial heavenly sword as a substitute. Clang. The heavenly sword was indeed exceptional. It instantly cut through the ore. However, what surprised Jianghu was that the sword strike had created a hole as if it had cut through the wall entirely. Did we dig through? Feng Wei asked. Jianghu frowned. If they had indeed dug through, it would be a massive loss on his part. There was no choice but to go inside and take a look. There didn't seem to be any dangers here for the time being. A human-sized entrance was quickly carved out by the heavenly sword. Everything appeared pitch black, even when Jianghu tossed a fireball inside. This wasn't an ordinary place. Senior, would you like me to explore ahead? Feng Wei asked. Jianghu gave him a brief glance and shook his head. No need. There was no need to let Feng Wei take the lead and get himself into danger. He had to do it himself. After entering, he sensed 3 different auras. One was of despair, another one was majestic, and the last one was filled with a dragon's might. Soon the dark space began to light up. The surroundings gradually became visible as flames rose from below and illuminated everything. This was a large underground cave. Lava covered the floor. There was a circular platform in the center, which was surrounded by 3 small, circular platforms. There were numerous formation runes on them. Aside from these, the most eye-catching thing was at the center of the middle platform. There was a sword buried in the ground. Its blade was shrouded in dark mist. Within this mist, a dragon's shadow was seen battling with it. Jianghu wasted no time and activated the daily appraisal. The human emperor's sword, the Xianyuan sword. Jianghu looked at the sword shrouded in black mist in shock. He had been avoiding it for a long time, but in the end he had arrived here. Now that I'm here, I should do something. He looked around to see where he could carve the burning immortal formation. Quickly he noticed some gaps in the circular formations. They required certain runes but also some other materials. What materials are needed to activate the burning immortal formation? Jianghu took out a spirit stone. When he put it in the formation there was no response. Do I need to wait and appraise it tomorrow? He then remembered the ore he had dug up and placed it in the formation. Instantly the ore was absorbed. It seems I need these ores. Without hesitation he placed all the ores into the formation and realized that he was still short of a few of them. There aren't many ores left outside. Does that mean I need all the ores to activate the burning immortal formation? Jianghu wasn't entirely sure, but it seemed that was likely. He had wanted to sell the ores for more spirit stones, but that seemed impossible now. However, it wasn't a total loss. Mining here had given him many blue bubbles. Now he had the core for the formation but lacked the core runes. Jianghu called Feng Wei into the cave. Feng Wei had waited outside because he was afraid that there might be some rare treasure inside, and it would corrupt the senior with him. He thought that this strange senior might kill him to keep him quiet. Now that the senior had asked for his help first, he didn't need to worry. Senior, what is it in here? Feng Wei asked cautiously as he poked his head inside. Come over here, Jianghu said softly. When Feng Wei approached, Jianghu pointed at the formation runes on the ground. Do you understand this formation? Feng Wei carefully observed it for a moment. I can understand it to some extent. This formation seems incomplete. If I provide you with the core runes, can you complete it? Jianghu asked. Since he wasn't an expert in this field, he didn't want to do it himself. If he did something wrong it would be quite troublesome. It was better to let someone skilled handle it. I need to study it first. This formation is quite profound and I can't guarantee anything, said Feng Wei humbly. Jianghu nodded and handed a book to Feng Wei. The book contained the core formation patterns he had obtained from Xing. When Feng Wei took the book and looked at it, his eyes lit up. He couldn't fully understand the principles of this level of formation, but he could still sketch it step by step. Furthermore, he might learn something from it. Thank you so much, Senior, Feng Wei said in excitement. Jianghu nodded. After exchanging a few words, he left. He needed to continue mining to activate the formation here completely. If he didn't mine, someone else would. As for Feng Wei, he had made it very clear that he should not enter the central platform. It wasn't a place that Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators could safely enter. The black mist alone could be fatal. After that, Jianghu went outside to continue mining. He obtained more bubbles. His cultivation points were gradually accumulating. Outside, Xianyuan Tai and Xianyuan he were looking for an entrance. Junior sister Baizhu seems very well informed, Xianyuan he said. That's to be expected. She was extraordinary from the very beginning. When the elder brought her here, he explicitly said she was talented. It did surprise me. Her information is more accurate than mine, and she even obtained the most crucial core formation patterns. Xianyuan Tai sighed. Speaking of which, junior sister Baizhu went out again. She even asked for our permission to explore the Sun Moon Peak. I wonder what she's up to. Xianyuan he hesitated. Could it be that she also wants to obtain the Xianyuan sword? At that, Xianyuan Tai laughed. The Xianyuan sword is not something that anyone can grab. If she manages to grab it, then I should just give it to her. Senior brother, you are very magnanimous. Xianyuan he shook her head. It's not about being magnanimous. That sword doesn't belong to me. It's the human emperor's sword, Xianyuan Tai said. But the human emperor's surname was Xianyuan. That's why we can't bring shame to our name. Chapter 694. Conversation with the True Dragon. Outside the Black Heaven sect, a group of people in black robes stood in a forest. They gazed at the distant mountain peak. They were lost in thought. Will the Grand Earth Emperor appear soon? Shouldn't we try to stop it? Asked a young woman. Our orders from above are to wait, set up formations and resonate with our bloodlines, said a middle-aged man. Why is that? Someone asked curiously. Since we can't prevent the Grand Earth Emperor from appearing, we should try to gain some benefits from it. What we might obtain remains uncertain. In any case, the clan has instructed us not to take rash actions, so we must wait quietly, said an elderly man. The disciples of the Mountain Sea Sword sect and the Clear Sky School are very active in this area. It's risky to act recklessly here, said someone else. The previous incident with the Bright Moon sect had made them lose too much. Moreover, they couldn't prevent the Grand Earth Emperor from appearing, which was frustrating. The Grand Earth Emperor was a mortal enemy, especially since they might be likely from the Shenyuan clan. If we can't make a move in the Black Heaven sect, why don't we just go to the Heavenly Note sect? They are currently engaged in a battle. It's a rare opportunity. We can rescue Mi Qian and also capture that person named Jianghu. Isn't the clan quite curious about him? Said a young man. I know a bit about people related to this Jianghu. It's said that he has a junior sister he values greatly. She is at the Black Heaven sect right now. Maybe we can start by approaching her first. The man in the lead fell silent for a moment. Send 3 people to handle this matter. Whether we succeed or fail, do not regroup. Just send a message. Shortly after, 3 individuals left the group and went in a different direction. Half a month later, in the middle of September, Jianghu noticed that the number of ores he dug up was gradually decreasing. The number of bubbles was also dropping rapidly, and the formation was about to be filled. This indicated that the ore outside was meant to activate the formation inside. If he had taken the ores with him, the burning immortal formation might not have been activated at all. I'm still not selfish enough, Jianghu sarcastically remarked to himself. The Shenyuan sword was the human emperor's sword. Even though the human emperor was long gone, the sword continued to suppress something in there. However, with the passage of time, the Shenyuan sword might be entirely corroded by the immortal seed and eventually be destroyed. If there were substitutes for the ore, it would be fine. If not, he couldn't just take them away. Clang. A piece of ore fell and Jianghu picked it up before heading into the cave. He hadn't expected to be able to mine for another half a month. It seemed that finding this place from the outside was not so easy. Even Gue would need to spend a lot of time and effort to find this place. Besides, she would need the Black Heaven sect's approval to explore this mine. Otherwise, entering carelessly would cause a lot of trouble for her. These people acted with discretion and wouldn't easily oppose other sections. How is it going, friend? Jianghu asked as he entered the cave. Feng Wei had been meticulously sketching the formation. He focused deeply on his work. His talent was indeed commendable, and Jianghu couldn't help but feel inferior in his knowledge about formation compared to this junior. Only a little more to go. It should take another day or 2, Feng Wei said. 2 more days, huh? Jianghu thought that the final moments were often the most susceptible to disasters. However, there was no need to rush. If someone arrived here, there was nothing he could do. He had mined most of the ore and fed it to the formation. He had done all he could. There was no need for him to stay. Before he left, there was one more thing he had to do. He looked at the Shenyuan sword. The black mist was affecting the sword and needed to be removed. Actually, I can do it faster if you want, senior, said Feng Wei. No need. Take it slow and don't make any mistakes, Jianghu said. Feng Wei nodded. He hesitated for a long time as if he wanted to say something. In the end he gave up. Do you want to ask about this sword? Jianghu asked him. No. I'm of a lower cultivation realm and don't have the right to know most things. Feng Wei quickly shook his head. This sword is the Shenyuan sword, Jianghu said. It's the human emperor's sword. The human emperor's sword? Feng Wei was taken aback. The human emperor's name only existed in legends for him. Moreover, it wasn't even confirmed whether the human emperor was actually real. Now, he was being told that he was preparing a formation for the human emperor's sword all along. It all seemed like an illusion. Senior, are you planning to take the Shenyuan sword? He asked. Jianghu looked at him and smiled. Do you think I'm qualified to do that? Yes, Feng Wei said confidently. Jianghu shook his head. After that, he put all the ores into the formation. He left a few to be added later. When the runes were completely charged and the burning immortal formation took shape, there would be a suppression effect. At that time he could approach the center and take a closer look at the Shenyuan sword. He didn't know how mighty the human emperor had been back in the day. He could only find that out by examining the sword. 2 days later, Jianghu found that there were no more ores to mine, but his harvest this time was substantial. Finally, Feng Wei had completed the engraving on his side. Jianghu appraised it and saw no problems with it. As long as the Xianyuan sword resonated with a person, the formation would activate. When the immortal seed was destroyed, the Xianyuan sword would reappear in the world. Senior, should I go outside? Feng Wei asked cautiously as Jianghu prepared to go to the central platform. No need. You can stay here and watch. Perhaps we can catch a glimpse of the true form of the human emperor's sword after all, Jianghu said. If anyone else had said this, Feng Wei's first thought would be that the person intended to kill him in that instant. However, the person in front of him was different and he felt safe with him. That was why Feng Wei had answered without hesitation when Jianghu asked if he was qualified to take the sword. Jianghu walked to the center where black mist enveloped the area. The burning immortal formation did have a suppressing effect on it, but it couldn't remove the mist from the Xianyuan sword. Even the true dragon's illusion could only contend with it. Forgive me. Jianghu respectfully bowed to the sword. Then, the mountain sea seal appeared and his fingers spread open. He activated the universe in a palm technique. The purple energy surged and covered the entire sword. Soon, the black mist was removed completely. In the next moment, the purple energy returned to Jianghu's hand and condensed into a purple bead. He had successfully sealed the black mist. Luckily, the mist didn't put up much resistance. Jianghu sighed in relief. If it was something like the Nine Nether, it would have been immensely difficult to seal it. He had managed to seal the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl and the Nine Nether because they were already in a sealed state from before. If they were in their original form, even 100 people couldn't seal them. After the black mist was sealed, the Xianyuan sword was revealed. Jianghu was somewhat surprised. He saw that the sword's body was covered in rust, like that of a decrepit old man. The true dragon's illusion on it also seemed dim and lifeless now. So, this is the human emperor's sword? Jianghu mused. It didn't look imposing at all, yet it had commanded respect from numerous clans. Are you still alive? Jianghu watched the image of the true dragon. This was a remnant soul of a true dragon. At that moment, the true dragon's eyes flickered slightly as it looked at Jiang. How? Are vous human? Yes. Is that so? Yes. The last one to come here was actually a human, not a dragon. I'm sorry to have disappointed you, senior. Chapter 695. I want to clean the Xianyuan sword a bit. At the Black Heaven sect, Xianyuan Tai sighed. We still haven't found it. They had been searching on the Sun Moon Peak for half a month but hadn't found the location of the Xianyuan sword. Does it mean we won't be able to find it? Xianyuan, he asked. No. When I become the Grand Earth Emperor, it will resonate with me. But without finding it, the Xianyuan sword can't emerge in this world, Xianyuan Tai said. Should we let some of our seniors continue searching? Xianyuan, he asked. What about junior sister Baizhu? She's been back for a while and frequently visits the Sun Moon Peak, Xianyuan, he said. She seems to be more dedicated than us. Xianyuan Tai thought for a moment. Let some of the senior disciples search for it. I don't have time. Of course, don't hinder junior sister Baizhu. She's more likely to find it. Xianyuan, he nodded. Their fellow sect member had come prepared with information and was eager to help. It wouldn't be wise to hinder her way. A moment later, a young girl in a pink dress leaped toward them from a distance. Have you found it, junior sister Baizhu? Xianyuan, he asked. Not yet, but you seem to be running out of time, senior brother, said Baizhu. Yes. It's about to begin, Xianyuan Tai said as he looked toward the sky. It was a great event and he was on the verge of becoming the Grand Earth Emperor. Can't you delay it for a while, senior brother? Baizhu cautiously asked. Delay it? Xianyuan Tai was surprised. Xianyuan, he also appeared puzzled. The Xianyuan sword is most likely to manifest when the Grand Earth Emperor appears. I need to find it as soon as possible, Baizhu said. Junior sister Baizhu, you seem very eager to bring the Xianyuan sword into this world, Xianyuan Tai said. Yes. It's part of a trade I made with a friend. He wants me to imprint the Xianyuan sword's intent on something. The reward I get in exchange is extremely important to me, Baizhu said pleadingly and held onto Xianyuan He's arm. Both siblings were somewhat helpless. However, it was certain that Baizhu's friend wouldn't be an ordinary person. I'll do my best, Xianyuan Tai said. Then I'll go look for the Xianyuan sword. I think I'll find it, said Baizhu excitedly. As they watched her depart, Xianyuan Tai suddenly asked, How old is junior sister Biel's new? I heard she's several hundred years old, Xinyuan he said. She still seems so young, said Xinyuan Tai. Xinyuan he couldn't help but laugh out loud. If someone overhears that, Elder Ji will probably come looking for us one day. Xinyuan Tai walked toward the highest peak of the Black Heaven sect. Let's go. The time has come. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Xinyuan Tai began preparing for his ascension to the position of the Grand Earth Emperor, and the disciples of the Black Heaven sect had waited for several months for this. The disciples of the Mountain Sea Sword sect were also in the area. Many people gathered. At that moment, a senior disciple was walking along the competition platforms and wanted to see if there was anyone powerful in the south. Are there any particularly outstanding individuals here? Asked a young woman. It's hard to say, said the senior disciple and shook his head. Beside him was a young man at the Golden Core realm. Senior brother Zhuge, who are you looking for? Asked the young woman. An old friend from several years ago, Zhuge Zheng said truthfully. Why are you looking for him? She asked. The young woman was Fu Dongxue, who was very powerful and held significant status in their sect. I owe him some spirit stones, Zhuge Zheng said. Fu Dongxue was taken aback. She then laughed. At that moment a young man walked past them. Zhuge Jin, who was in the lead, stopped and turned around. Radiant aura but without any sword intent, yet there's a strange sense of swordsmanship. He appears to be a swordsman but also not good at it at the same time. Fu Dongxue turned around for a brief glance. She appraised him and then shook her head. His talent for sword cultivation isn't that great. Zhuge Jin smiled and shook his head. Junior sister, you're too one-sided in evaluating people. Even if his talent for sword cultivation is lacking, he will surely be extraordinary in other things. I wonder which sect he is from. He is from the Heavenly Note sect. His attire seems to be from there, said Zhuge Zheng. Oh. Fu Dongshue's eyes lit up. Isn't the person you are looking for also from the Heavenly Note sect? Is it a woman? No. Zhuge Zheng shook his head. Fu Dongxue lost interest in the conversation. The Heavenly Note sect. Zhuge Zheng shook his head and sighed. This might be troublesome. That sect couldn't be provoked. That sect was related to a very important senior from their sect. They were under direct orders to avoid them. The Heavenly Note sect doesn't have any powerful sword cultivators. He sighed again and stopped thinking about it. Senior brother, are we going to visit the Heavenly Note sect? Zhuge Jing asked. We'll go once the Grand Earth Emperor appears and we finish observing the Xinyuan sword, Zhuge Jin said in response. Zhuge Jing nodded. He intended to pay the spirit stones to this so-called friend. Do you think the Grand Earth Emperor will appear without any problems, senior brother? Fu Dongxue asked. It's hard to say. In fact, there's still one critical thing missing, Zhuge Jin said. What? Zhuge Jing asked curiously. The Dragon Clan, Zhuge Jin said solemnly. When the human emperor appeared, he had the full support of the Dragon Clan. But now that the Dragon Clan has disappeared, the Grand Earth Emperor is left to fend for himself. Even if there was one member from the Dragon Clan, his path would be much smoother. Right now it's extraordinarily difficult. Zhuge Zheng and Fu Dongxue understood this, but there was nothing they could do. They had no knowledge of the Dragon Clan's location, let alone the ability to bring them here. At the foot of the Sun Moon Peak, Jianghu stood in front of the sword in reverence. The true dragon phantom gazed at him as if trying to fully understand the person before it. Do you have a dragon by your side? The true dragon asked. Yes. Jianghu nodded. That's more like it. The true dragon no longer dwelled on this issue. Are you here to take the human emperor's sword? If you want the sword, you must pass the test. No. I'm not here to take the sword. I just want to do something, Jianghu said. What is it? The true dragon was quite curious. Was puzzled. His human had come all this way, activated the burning immortal formation, and banished the black mist when he didn't even want the sword for himself. Jianghu looked at the Xinyuan sword. This sword is about to emerge into the world. It shouldn't be covered in rust. Even if the human emperor is no longer here, it should still shine brightly. What do you mean? The true dragon was puzzled. I just want to clean it a bit, Jianghu said. The true dragon appeared shocked. Many emotions flashed through its face. Clean it? It asked. After all you have done to reach here, you just want to clean it? Just that? Yes, just that. Jianghu nodded. He genuinely had no other requests. To be able to clean such a divine item would already be more than enough for him. Some people get injured when they touch this sword, said the true dragon. I only want to wipe it a bit, so I hope you can help suppress its power, senior, Jianghu said with a bow. The true dragon hesitated but eventually nodded. All right. I can suppress the Xinyuan sword's intent within the seal. But if the sword rejects you, there's little I can do about it. Thank you very much, senior. Jianghu was delighted. It worked. Chapter 696. Do you really not want the inheritance? At the Sun Moon Peak, Baizhu carefully searched the area but found nothing. She began to doubt whether the Xinyuan sword was actually here. Both Xing and Xinyuan Tai said it's here. They can't both be wrong. So why can't I find it? Baizhu frowned. If it was just a regular hiding place, she and the Black Heaven sect would have discovered it long ago. Xinyuan Tai would have found it too because he was about to become the Grand Earth Emperor. The fact that Xinyuan Tai hadn't found it meant that the location of the Xinyuan sword was far from simple. Where could it be? Baizhu couldn't sense anything. Time was running out and she had no other options. She reluctantly took out the stone tablet and entered it. She called for Xing and Lu. After a while, a figure appeared in the public area. It was Xing. Gui, have you run into any difficulties? Asked Xing with a smile. The Grand Earth Emperor is about to appear, but there's an issue. To make the Xinyuan sword emerge, I need to set up the Burning Immortal formation, Gui said. So, what's the problem? Xing asked in confusion. The problem is that I can't find the Xinyuan sword, Gui said. I see. Xing nodded. It's challenging to find the Xinyuan sword. The fact that the Xinyuan clan couldn't find it for so long means that conventional methods won't work. So, we can use the Burning Immortal formation. Since that requires the core of the Burning Immortal formation, it means that the formation is part of the location. You can use the method of tracing the Burning Immortal formation to determine the exact location. How will I do that? Gui asked. I will find a way to help you locate the pattern of the Burning Immortal formation, Xing said. A little while later, Baizhu once again started her task in the Sun Moon Peak. With another formation in her palm, she searched for the pattern of the Burning Immortal formation. It eventually showed her that the formation was the mountain's base. It was hidden all this time. It is no wonder we couldn't find it anywhere. As she approached the base, she realized that the magic on it was incomprehensible. How will I get in now? Baizhu was cautious and patient. On top of the Sun Moon Peak, she sensed the flow of great fortune, which meant that the Grand Earth Emperor was about to accept the blessing of the mountain and sea. I hope I can make it in time. Seeing that the true dragon had agreed, Jianghu felt relieved. This was the Xinyuan sword and it deserved respect. If he wasn't allowed to clean it, he wouldn't dare to approach it. My apologies, Jianghu said and cautiously approached the Xinyuan sword. He gently gripped the hilt of the sword. Then he exerted a little force. Clang. The sword hummed slightly as he drew it out. Ha! The true dragon stood still and wondered if its memory was working right. It forgot that it had just suppressed the power of the sword, and that was why the human could draw it from the floor. Although the Xinyuan sword showed no aura of power, it was still very formidable. This human shouldn't have been able to draw it so easily. The true dragon silently observed Jianghu. At that moment, Jianghu sat cross-legged and placed the sword on his lap. He then took out a delicate cloth that he often used to clean his primordial heavenly blade. It seemed he knew how to clean the Xinyuan sword. Taking a deep breath, Jianghu gently wiped the sword. As he continued to wipe, blue bubbles fell and were absorbed in his body. Jianghu smiled and continued to clean. Blue bubbles kept appearing. As he continued wiping it, the rusty sword began to shine. The true dragon watched as the person before him cleaned the sword in joy. As the sword became radiant, the person seemed a bit reluctant. Throughout history, the true dragon had never seen anyone look with such emotions at the Xinyuan sword. As the Xinyuan sword became clean, it vibrated as though it had been reborn from decay. Jianghu smiled, but he couldn't help feeling a bit melancholic. He got up and returned the sword to its original position. Now the Xinyuan sword was gleaming in grandeur. You really don't plan to take the sword? Asked the true dragon. Of course not, said Jianghu. I don't think I'm capable. It wasn't a matter of strength or good and evil intentions. It was about ambition. Is that so? You're the first one to come here and claim to not want anything. You truly don't want anything? Asked the true dragon. Jianghu thought for a moment and smiled. I entered this place accidentally, and I've never thought of taking the sword for myself. I already have what I wanted the most. What about an inheritance? You don't want the human emperor's inheritance, but maybe you could have mine, said the true dragon. Jianghu shook his head. I have enough. Even if I get your inheritance, I might not be able to live up to its name. Do you really have no desires? Asked the true dragon in disbelief. I do, but my aspirations lie elsewhere, Jianghu said truthfully. I used to dislike humans and now I dislike them even more. In the past, humans would beg me for my inheritance, but now they don't want it even when I offer it for free, said the true dragon in disdain. Jianghu lowered his head. I'm sorry to disappoint you, senior. He then took 2 steps back. The formation had suddenly lit up. It meant someone was approaching. The Xinyuan sword is about to emerge. What are you going to do, senior? Jianghu asked. There wasn't much time left before someone found their way inside. I will enter the Xinyuan sword and sleep. Maybe someone will awaken me again. Perhaps we might meet again then, said the true dragon. I understand. Jianghu nodded. The Grand Earth Emperor was Xinyuan Tai, so they would indeed meet again unless Xinyuan Tail's attempt to become the Grand Earth Emperor failed. Do you really not want my inheritance? Asked the true dragon once more. Jianghu shook his head. Indeed, I can't help but dislike humans, said the true dragon. It then entered the sword and fell into a deep slumber. Jianghu watched for a while and then placed the purple bead on the ground. After hesitating for a moment, he used the 7-star seal to seal it. If the person who was approaching was Gue, she would know that this was a temporary seal and could remove it. The bead was contaminated, and Jianghu lacked the ability to cleanse it, so he had to leave it to someone else. Gue was highly capable and should be able to handle it. After that, he left. Senior, said Fengwei respectfully. He had heard everything inside and he felt a deep respect for Jianghu even more than before. I'm leaving, Jianghu said. Fengwei looked regretful for a moment but quickly regained his composure. There's something I'd like to ask you, senior. Go ahead, Jianghu said. I used to be from the Heavenly Note sect. I had a difficult time there and was desperate. At that time, a junior extended a helping hand and gave me the courage to continue. This junior seemed to have good talent and should have successfully built his foundation by now. However, his personality didn't fit in well with the sect. He might have been killed, Fengwei said. He took out a dagger and cut open a slit in his waist. A bottle of pills covered in various formations appeared. Fengwei reluctantly took the bottle out and cleaned it before handing it to Jianghu. This is the heaven rejuvenating pill that I had saved for myself. Since I have no hope, I want to request you, senior, to make a trip to the Heavenly Note sect on my behalf. If that junior is still alive, please give it to him. If he's dead, you can keep it for yourself, senior. Jianghu took the bottle, opened it and looked inside. It was indeed a heaven rejuvenating pill. Who is that person? Jianghu asked. His name is Jianghu. He is from the Cliff of Broken Hearts, said Fengwei. Jianghu looked at the pill and sighed. I'll do it. Thank you. Chapter 697, Is Jing one step ahead of me? Jianghu looked up at the person in front of him and asked softly, if you could be free, would you return to the Heavenly Note sect? Not for the time being. Fengwei shook his head. I decided that I needed to be strong enough before going back. I at least want the people who harassed me to see me surpassing them. My ambitions are great, but my life is fragile. Regret was evident in his words. Jianghu nodded. Indeed, in the world of cultivation there were many people with great ambitions, but those who survived were few. Jianghu pointed a finger at Fengwei. In an instant all the restrictions on him were shattered. Then he fainted. With Fengwei in tow, Jianghu led him to the formation. As soon as in the blink of an eye, the two of them disappeared from their original spot. When they reappeared, they were back in the previous mine. Jianghu walked toward the exit. Not long after, he heard the sounds of a battle. Soon after, a woman staggered in. She seemed to be fleeing. She had been attacked by various spells and she breathed weakly. Her time was running out. Jianghu looked at her and felt that she was very familiar. She was one of the miners from before. I remember you. You are the one who called me the light of righteousness, he said. The woman looked up and saw Jianghu. She froze and then she sat against the wall. "So, you're here," she said with a bitter smile. "What happened?" Jianghu asked as he approached. "We need to escape," the woman said. "Why didn't you run before?" Jianghu asked. The woman looked at Jianghu. "Because we didn't know there were good people left in this world. You made us feel different, so we wanted to help." "Is that it?" Jianghu asked. "Yes." The woman leaned back. "But we failed. Sometimes I feel like, if you were truly our leader, I feel I could have worked here for a lifetime." "I'm sorry," Jianghu said. "Do you think it's because of your arrival that we're in this situation?" asked the woman with emotion. "Don't worry about it. We may seem pitiful, but we are wicked. At least we used to be. We deserve to die 1,000 deaths. It's just—" Jianghu didn't interrupt her. He listened attentively. "It's just that I'm a woman after all, and sometimes I think that if a man were by my side to protect me from the wind and the rain when I was in despair, maybe I wouldn't have become a despicable woman deserving of 1,000 deaths." The woman looked at Jianghu. "Or if I had met you earlier, I might have done better." Jianghu looked at the woman but didn't say anything. By the time she finished speaking, her breath had weakened. She fell silent. Jianghu looked at her and then took her away with him. It's hard to say how long it took. Feng Wei woke up from his slumber. When he opened his eyes, he felt that the sunlight was blinding. He shielded his eyes with his hand. After a while, his eyes adapted to the light. He looked around and saw that he was on a mountain peak. It was surrounded by nothing but wilderness. Where is this place? Feng Wei was puzzled. At that moment he noticed something in his other hand. He saw the heaven rejuvenating pill. My pill. Feng Wei was shocked and immediately started looking for Jianghu, but there was no sign of him. I'm out. He found it hard to believe. However, all signs indicated that he was free. It seemed unbelievable, but deep down he had hoped for it. Feng Wei sighed. He still didn't know who that person was. That person must be a formidable senior from some sect who only wanted to see the Shenyuan sword. After hesitating for a while, he decided to go near the Black Heaven sect. The Shenyuan sword was about to appear and he wanted to see it. Gui spent more than a day and finally found the entrance. She wiped the sweat from her forehead and took a deep breath. I'm so tired. I've worked so hard for Qiao Yi's cultivation technique. Qiao Yi was not a member of the Heavenly Spirit tribe, but she had a natural affinity with them. She could practice their techniques. So Gui found the best technique to accelerate Qiao Yi's cultivation speed. With her resources, Qiao Yi's advancement would be extremely fast. Boom. When the stone wall was finally broken through, a fiery light burst forth. She had expected it to be hot and sudden, but it was unexpectedly soothing. Considering that it had been sealed for so many years, it should have been scorching. It truly is where the Shenyuan sword is. This is extraordinary. Baizhu couldn't help but exclaim, then she took a step inside. As soon as she entered, she saw the bright sword at the center. Its aura was restrained, but it shone with a grandeur. The Shenyuan sword. Seeing the divine artifact up close was strange. In an instant she snapped back to reality. Now was not the time to admire the sword. She needed to set up the core of the burning immortal formation. She had a doubt the Shenyuan sword might have been contaminated, but it didn't seem to be. Soon she reached the edge of the formation. When she glanced at it, she frowned in confusion. What's going on? Is the formation complete? Could it be that there's very little left to be replenished? She looked around. The more she looked, the more alarmed she became. She found that not only had the formation been completed, but its power had also been fully restored. The burning immortal formation could be activated at any time. Did someone get here ahead of me? Maybe Shenyuan Tai? That's impossible. Then who else could it be from the Black Heaven sect? Baizhu approached the central platform doubtfully to see if there were any other changes. When she got there, she was stunned. 7-star seal? The 7-star seal was a seal Senior Dan Yuan had taught them. Only 5 people from the gathering knew about it. They were Senior Dan Yuan, Xing Lu Jing and herself. It's certainly not Senior Dan Yuan. Xing is in the eastern region. Lu is overseas, so. Baizhu unlocked the 7-star seal and found a purple-colored bead inside. It had black mist trapped inside, which she guessed was the mist that had tainted the sword. It's Jing. Baizhu was moved. She had come all this way, while Jing had silently taken care of everything. Why did he leave behind this mist for her? Is he planning to exchange it with me for something else? After collecting the item, she carefully inspected the burning immortal formation and was shocked to discover that the things required to give the formation sufficient power were exceptionally unique. She wouldn't have time to find them and complete the formation. It is no wonder Jing seemed so busy. He was either dealing with monsters or divine artifacts. It would be strange if he wasn't constantly busy. After making sure everything was in order, Baizhu approached the Xianyuan sword. I wonder what it feels like to touch such a divine artifact. She was naturally curious about the human emperor's sword. Even though she couldn't possess it, could she at least touch it? Forgive me, but I have a small wish. I just want to touch it. Chapter 698, Shang An's Intervention. Baizhu stood before the Xianyuan sword and saw that the sword did not refuse her approach. She cautiously moved closer. Due to the sword's formidable reputation, she was very cautious. Just a touch should be fine, right? Baizhu reassured herself. With such a divine artifact before her, it would be a shame not to have at least touched it. Taking a deep breath, Baizhu crossed the distance and touched the sword's hilt. Instantly the sword vibrated. A surge of sword intent poured out like a tidal wave. Boom. Baizhu was startled. She tried to let go, but it was already too late. Boom. The sword's intent broke free and hit her. It sent her flying backward. Then, the sword's intent gathered into a majestic figure before Baizhu's astonished eyes. At that moment, the figure turned to look at her. A single glance from this figure felt like everything pressed down on her. Baizhu was awestruck. She felt insignificant. Baizhu was flung back and she crashed into the wall. She didn't hesitate. "Senior, please spare me." The pressure instantly disappeared. When she looked up again, there was nothing in front of her but the Xianyuan sword. Everything that had just happened felt like an illusion. Baizhu was scared and remained seated where she was. It truly is the human emperor's sword. Her cultivation realm was already quite high, but in front of the human emperor she was like a child. If someone had approached the sword with evil intentions, they would have been killed by the Xianyuan sword just now. She was curious whether Jing had touched the human emperor's sword. He probably was curious too. I can ask him the next time we meet. She was also curious about how he had arrived here. After exploring the area, she found that there were mineral veins outside. She also discovered the formation. After a brief examination of the place, she was shocked to find that Jing had been here for a very, very long time. As for the formation, she just took one look and knew it was a teleportation formation. She had no intention of using it to go somewhere else. Meeting Jing unexpectedly would not be safe. She left by following the same path she had come from. The Xianyuan sword's emergence was proceeding smoothly, and now they were waiting for the arrival of the Grand Earth Emperor, who would resonate with the Xianyuan sword. That would be the best time for the Xianyuan sword to emerge. I wonder if senior brother Xianyuan Tai is making progress. When Baizhu left, the true dragon emerged from the Xianyuan sword. It glanced at the sword and then said, "I thought you were broken when that person pulled you out so casually earlier. It seems that you're not. That means that person was exceptional. I can't see what makes him so special though. Is it temperament? Personality? Talent?" This question had no answer as nobody could provide it. The inheritor of the Xianyuan sword embodied the will of the human emperor. Their ability to wield the sword signified the human emperor's approval. At the Black Heaven sect, the forces of the mountain and sea converged in the sky. In the midst of this great force, Xianyuan Tail's figure seemed like a lone boat adrift. At that point he could only stabilize the great force, but he couldn't integrate it into his body. Even with strong individuals assisting him, it wasn't as easy as he had thought to achieve success. At that time, various sects were making preparations. Outside the sect there were signs of the fallen immortal clan, the Saint Bandits, the end of all things, and even a spiritual aura. It was the Great Thousand God sect. These people hadn't made a move, but their pressure was attempting to subvert the great force of the mountain and sea. Inside the Black Heaven sect, members of the Mountain Sea Sword sect stood together. They assisted, but the effect was not as great as they had hoped. There were only a few people who had come to contribute, and they couldn't form a complete spiritual aura. The Black Heaven sect is still too weak. If it were one of the major sects in the southern region, it would be much easier to deal with. Zhuge Jin sighed. These forces have no intention of making a move, They just want to gain some benefit from the success or failure of this event. But even so, the Black Heaven sect is unable to suppress them. We can only rely on Xinyuan Tai. If it were someone else, they would have already failed by now, Zhuge Jin said. This person is indeed extraordinary. Do you think he will fail? Fu Dongxue asked. It's hard to say. This is not a test of strength but a contest of the surrounding spiritual aura. It is to see how many people support him, Zhuge Jin said. In any case, it seems the situation doesn't look good for the Grand Earth Emperor, Zhuge Jin said solemnly. At the same time, members of the fallen immortal clan stood outside and absorbed the spiritual aura. They had sensed something and found a similar aura underground. They could only absorb a tiny amount at a time. It seems that our clan has learned something about this place, someone said. We mustn't make a mistake now. For now, let's focus on absorbing what we can. By the way, what about the 3 who left? Asked the man in the lead. One of them rescued Mi Qian, and the other 2 went to find Jianghu's junior sister. There should be good news soon, said a woman. Very well. Let them act on their own. There's no need for us to contact them too much, said the man in the lead. As the group was still planning to absorb the ancestral aura, they suddenly felt another presence. This aura was bright, like a beam of light shining upon them. It affected their progress. Shortly after, the light shone on the Black Heaven sect and helped to stabilize the great force of the mountain and sea. Who is that? They looked into the distance and saw a figure approaching. This figure was radiating a bright light. It was difficult to make out their appearance. It's the sage's light, said the man in the lead. Shang-En from the Clear Sky School. How did he end up in the southern region? Shang-En was incredibly powerful, but for the immortal sects, he was a saintly person who hadn't fully matured yet. It was surprising that he was allowed to go outside. Don't confront him. There may be people from Clear Sky School around, or he might be carrying a valuable treasure. Understood. As the saint's light got closer, the spiritual auras in the vicinity avoided its sharpness. The reputation of the Clear Sky School sages had spread far and wide throughout the 4 regions. No one was willing to oppose them at this time. Zhuge Jin also sensed the arrival of that light and found it somewhat unbelievable. I've only heard of this person, and now I see that his reputation is well deserved. That beam of light acted like a giant hand that protected the great force of the mountain and sea. It made things easier for Xinyuan Tai. Who is that person? Zhuge Jin asked curiously. The recent prodigy that the Clear Sky School recruited. His arrival likely represents Clear Sky School. That's why no one dares to confront him. This also gives Xinyuan Tai a better chance. However, he alone is enough to exude such a strong aura. He should be able to ascend to the Immortal Ascension platform at any time. Furthermore, he must have a valuable treasure with him, Zhuge Jin said. So, does that mean the Grand Earth Emperor will be able to appear finally? Fu Dongxue asked. Zhuge Jin looked up and whispered, the great force of the mountain and sea has stabilized, but absorbing it is still extremely difficult. There aren't enough people who can do it without the Dragon Clan. We'll have to see what the Black Heaven sect has prepared. The people of the Black Heaven sect were overjoyed. The appearance of that light gave them confidence. At that moment, an elderly man took out a dragon pearl. This was something any Naak Maria at an umigmame cost on a drowned Dakram overseas. Senior, it's up to you now. I'm just a shadow using the dragon pearl. It's not certain whether this will succeed. It's a pity that my true self can't leave Chaos Stone Island. Otherwise I could contribute much more. Senior, don't worry about it. Just do your best and let fate decide the rest. Chapter 699. The true body of the true dragon is needed. Outside the Black Heaven sect, Feng Wei watched from afar. He dared not get too close because there were too many different auras around and he feared for his life. However, a scene like this was something that happened once in a lifetime. Although he had reached the Foundation Establishment realm, he was ultimately an insignificant figure in the entire cultivation world. He toiled day by day for a meager amount of spirit stones. Dissatisfaction burned within him. He was unwilling to fade away. However, wanting to become stronger based solely on momentum was useless. He needed to put in the effort, and with his shallow foundation he was walking on thin ice. One misstep and he would meet his end with no one left to even collect his corpse. There's someone here, said a voice behind him. Feng Wei was startled. He hadn't noticed anyone approaching. He wondered if he should flee. In the blink of an eye, a figure appeared before him. It was a young man who looked playful. "Your clothes seem a bit tattered," he said with a smile. "Greetings, senior," said Feng Wei in fear. "Oh, don't be like that. I'm just passing by and was curious about you, so I asked. I don't know what you've done or plan to do, but I don't intend to pry," the man said. "Senior, you're too carefree. That's why we've been searching for junior brother Shang and senior brother Lu Yun for so long," said a graceful woman in annoyance. "Yes. You said he would help us find them. It seems you just led us here aimlessly," said another young man. "Shang'an is here, isn't he? Besides, do you really have to call him junior brother? Who among you is stronger than he?" said the man in front of Feng Wei lazily. "I am Xie Dongnan from the Clear Sky School. What's your name?" Xie Dongnan looked at the person in front of him. "I'm Feng Wei from the Heavenly Note sect," Feng Wei said with a bow. The Clear Sky School was the strongest immortal sect. How could someone from there appear here? "We came here because we saw senior brother Shang'an's light," said a young woman. The four of them had secretly left their sect to come and see Shang'an. Since they couldn't see him within the sect, they had come out to take a look. Now that they saw the sage's light, they were deeply moved. Truly, it was clear that the disciple recruited by the elders from across the two regions had extraordinary talent. Countless elders wept in secret for not getting to recruit him first. "We can't approach now, so we can only watch from here. But for the Grand Earth Emperor we still need to contribute. If we don't see him it's fine. But if we do and refuse to contribute, that would be unacceptable," Xie Dongnan said. "How can we help?" someone asked. "Bring out your treasures and I'll do it." Xie Dongnan was excited. "There's even the aura of the Mountain Sea Sword sect here. How pathetic that an immortal sect like us has to remain hidden here. If they see the grandeur of the most powerful immortal sect, they'll grind their teeth in fear." "Aren't you usually very carefree? Why do you suddenly want to compete, senior?" said a white-robed woman. "Carefree? Senior brother is very competitive," said the other young man. "He actually is." The young woman nodded. Feng Wei watched them as they summoned their magical treasures, and then the one in front of him emitted an overwhelming aura. This immense aura echoed and protected the great force of the mountain and sea. The sudden involvement of Clear Sky School left the Black Heaven sect overjoyed. The members of the Mountain Sea Sword sect were also astonished. The Clear Sky School's disciples had come to join in the fun as well. Other forces had no choice but to withdraw once more. It seemed that no one wanted to fight at this moment. They just wanted the benefits. At that moment, an elderly person in the Black Heaven sect looked at the dragon pearl he was holding. "Senior, it's up to you now." "Very well," said the true dragon. Then a phantom soared into the sky. The might of a true dragon helped Xinyuan Tai to accommodate the great force. A dragon's roar shook the heavens. At last, the great force of the mountain and sea began to be absorbed. Everyone looked up at the sky and awaited the final result. Beneath them, Yin Shang felt quite emotional. "The Grand Earth Emperor is truly formidable. Senior sister, you aren't bad either. If it weren't for the Xinyuan bloodline's advantage, they wouldn't be as good as you," said a young woman next to Yin Shang. Yin Shang chuckled. "Don't make wild claims. That person is still young. When he reaches my age, he might become stronger than me." "In my view, you are the strongest," said the young woman. "You have sparred with so many powerful people and defeated each one." "I wonder if he will succeed," said Yin Shang. "I feel like many powerful individuals are watching from outside. I wonder if they will take action," said the young woman. "They won't. These people all have their own purpose, and whether the Grand Earth Emperor succeeds or not doesn't affect them," Yin Shang said. "The Grand Earth Emperor indeed has a great reputation, but you aren't bad either. Many people recognize and respect your talent, senior sister." Yin Shang smiled. At that moment, the great force of the mountain and sea was shrinking. Fu Dongxue was surprised. "That is a true dragon. Although it's not the main body, will it still be enough?" "It's hard to say. We have to see what happens next," Zhuge Jin said. Everything was proceeding smoothly, especially after the Clear Sky School's involvement. It made people wary. "I feel like the Clear Sky School has surpassed us," Zhuge Jing said. In an instant, people around him all looked over in resentment. Zhuge Jing was speechless. For his sect, they didn't want to compete with others. However, when it came to the Clear Sky School, the Bright Moon sect, and the Astronomical Academy, competition was unavoidable. Baizhu walked out of the Sun Moon Peak. She walked to Qiao Yi. "How is it going?" "I think it's going well." Qiao Yi briefed her on everything that had happened. "Sage's Light? Shang'an from the Clear Sky School is here. He really is in the southern region," Baizhu said. "Shang'an?" Qiao Yi didn't recognize the name. "Do you remember why I only called myself the #1 genius of the royal family, instead of an unrivaled genius?" Baizhu asked. "Because there was an unrivaled genius who achieved the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment?" Qiao Yi said in confusion. "Yes, that is one of the unrivaled geniuses. The other one is that person right there. Shang'an, the extraordinary genius," said Baizhu. Initially she didn't know how powerful Shang'an was. Now it seemed unbelievable. Even if they stood in the same realm, the difference was extraordinary. "It's incredible that a true dragon is helping out, but..." Baizhu looked at the great force of the mountain and sea. She felt that this was somewhat different from when Chujie had been there. It seemed to be less smooth. Even with Chujie here there would be problems. The Grand Earth Emperor would face some issues anyway. Not long after, the phantom of the true dragon began to falter. The great force of the mountain and sea became heavy as if it could suppress everything. "No. The true body needs to be here," said the true dragon. The message resonated everywhere. Everyone's faces turned pale. Shen Yuantai at this moment was in even worse shape. If not for his strong willpower, he wouldn't have been able to endure it this long. "What should we do?" an elder from the Black Heaven sect asked. It seemed like nothing could solve the problem. They could only stall for time. At the same time, Shaoli followed a scent to the outside of the Black Heaven sect. She had lost the gift she bought for her senior brother and had run away on her own. "Where is it?" Shaoli pouted and looked around. "Are you looking for this?" Two people walked out of the woods. They surrounded Shaoli. One of them held a box of pastries. "Thief!" Shaoli was infuriated. She had thought her gift had grown legs and ran away on its own, but it turned out that it had been stolen. How infuriating. Chapter 700, Is Jing here to help? Shaoli looked at the two people in front of her. It was a middle-aged man and a relatively young woman. They both looked not very pleasing to the eye. "That's a gift for my senior brother," Shaoli said. "So?" the middle-aged man asked with a smile. "Give it back." Shaoli reached out her hand. "You can have it back if you come with us," said the middle-aged man. "You want me to listen to thieves like you?" Shaoli glared at them. "Give it back to me. If not, I'm going to get angry." Boom. The woman flicked her finger and turned the pastries into powder. "Don't waste your time with her," she said. Shaoli stomped her foot in anger. "Those were my pastries. I'm furious now." "Angry? What use is it for you to get angry here?" The woman stepped closer to Shaoli. "You are just at the Foundation establishment realm. Soon you'll realize how small you really are." The woman approached Shaoli. She was ready to use her power to suppress her and take her away. However, as she got closer, a blue light suddenly flashed. Boom. A barrier of light blocked her hand. That surprised her. In an instant, a fist struck her in the face. She was sent flying. She rolled several times on the ground and stood up. She hadn't expected to be humiliated like this. "You're looking for trouble." She charged again. This time, her aura erupted in a powerful force. This little girl had to pay for her humiliation. "You thief. You want to fight me?" Shaoli swung her fist without any reservation. The dragon pearl on her neck kept releasing blue energy which covered her entire body. The attacks from the woman barely made an impact as they were all neutralized by the blue light. Boom. Shaoli sent the woman flying again with a punch. "This girl is strange. Let's team up," said the middle-aged man. "I'll kill you." The woman was furious. She was at the peak of the primordial spirit realm but had been punched twice by this little girl who was only in the Foundation establishment realm. "Don't you move." Before the middle-aged man could say anything, he was sent flying. "I'll beat you both up," Shaoli said furiously. The middle-aged man was also furious. How could a Foundation establishment realm kid be so strong? A few rounds later they found themselves beaten up. Shaoli had suffered no injuries at all. "Don't hold back. Suppress her with full force even if she dies," said the middle-aged man. They couldn't delay. Soon, both of them unleashed all their power and even used their magical treasures. This time they didn't hold back. They intended to overwhelm Shaoli. The power was incredibly intense, and Xiaoli instinctively shielded her eyes. Here's our chance. The two leaped from the sky and descended with overwhelming force. It seemed like their power could crush everything below. At that moment, the dragon pearl emitted an unprecedented blue light that snewed up Hilo sky. A dragon roar echoed. The giant dragon's shadow pierced the heavens and stirred the winds and clouds. Under the shadow of the dragon, the two formidable opponents turned to ashes. They never dreamed that they would die without even knowing how. Inside the Black Heaven sect, Zhuge Jin frowned. It seems we can't do it. The dragon phantom W in the sky had exhausted its strength, and Xinyuan Tai was struggling. What if we endure it a bit longer? Fu Dongxue asked. I don't know. I've never seen this before. It's too hard to succeed. Zhuge Jin sighed. Is there a true dragon anywhere? There's a phantom here, which means that the Black Heaven sect is already very impressive, Zhuge Jing said. The others didn't argue. Indeed, that was the case. Even for their own sect, it might not be easy to find a phantom of a dragon, let alone a true dragon. There were no true dragons in the world today. Even if there were, it was a well-kept secret. They could only find some traces of dragons in certain ruins. Although the Grand Earth Emperor has appeared, it's a pity it's not easy to complete the process. Fu Dongxue sighed. Outside, Xie Dongnan also felt helpless. It all depended on luck now. If luck wasn't on their side, it would be too difficult for the Grand Earth Emperor to appear. Even if luck was on their side, success wasn't guaranteed. They had come here unexpectedly and had tried their best. Princess, is this going to fail? Xiaoyi asked. Not yet. There should still be something, Baizhu said. What? Xiaoyi asked in confusion. A person, Baizhu said. What kind of person? Someone who made a move during the attainment of the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. He might help the Grand Earth Emperor as well. Is this person very strong? At the very least, I haven't found him to be weak. When will he take action? I don't know, but if a blue or purple energy appears, it'll be him. Purple or blue. But there's no sign of... Before Xiao Yi finished her sentence, a blue beam of light suddenly shot up into the sky. This sudden change caught everyone's attention. The dragon's roar shook everything, and a giant dragon's figure soared into the sky. It shook the heavens and earth. The dragon's might covered all directions. In an instant, it crushed and shattered all surrounding auras. The true dragon phantom halted in the sky. With a single glance, it stabilized the great force of the mountain and sea, and Xinyuan Tai's process of assimilating the force became smooth and swift. The earlier true dragon's phantom lowered its head in awe. This sudden appearance of the dragon shocked not only the Black Heaven sect but also the various other major powers in the vicinity. Smiling Sansheng. The people from the Great Thousand God sect immediately thought of that name. In a split second, everyone from the Great Thousand God sect began to retreat. Baizhu was stunned. It's a true dragon. She initially thought it might be purple energy, but now, it seemed that everything was under Jing's control. The thing had been lured out by the rise of the Xinyuan clan, and it was here to repay the favor. How far can he see? Baizhu wondered. Xiaoyi was astounded. It's really happening. It's blue. The princess knew far more than she had expected. At the same time in the woods, Xiaoli opened her eyes, and the beam of light disappeared. The true dragon's phantom also vanished without a trace. Where are they? Xiaoli looked around but found no one. She stomped her foot in frustration. Darn it, they stole my stuff and ran away. Who stole what from you again? A clear and melodious voice sounded from behind her. Xiaoli was startled. She turned around to see a figure in a red and white dress standing behind her. Sister-in-law. Xiaoli ran toward her in joy. Why are you here? Where's my senior brother? Hong Yuya was here. Chapter 701. All that belongs to senior brother belongs to senior sister too. Where's my senior brother? Xiaoli held onto Hong Yuya's arm and looked around. Hong Yuya watched Xiaoli but didn't stop her from holding onto her hand. Your senior brother isn't here. Huh. Senior brother is so irresponsible. He doesn't accompany you when you go out? Hong Yuya looked at the girl in front of her, then lifted the dragon pearl around her neck to examine it. However, the dragon pearl showed some reluctance. Is this yours? Hong Yuya asked. This is senior brother's, Xiaoli said. Whatever is his is also yours. So this can be yours too, senior sister. Hong Yuye raised an eyebrow and looked at Xiaoli. Then she smiled. You're different from your senior brother. Huh? Xiaoli was puzzled. How so? Hong Yuye didn't answer her. 9 out of 10 things Jianghu told were lies, while Xiaoli was different. Every word she said was said with sincerity. What did you say was stolen? Hong Yuye let go of the dragon pearl and asked. I bought a gift for my senior brother, but it was stolen and the thieves ran away, Xiaoli said in annoyance. Is that so? Hong Yuve raised her head and looked at the ashes on the ground. At that moment, a loud rumbling sounded from the sky. A figure stood there like an unshakable mountain. Wow, so tall. Who is it? Xiaoli asked curiously. He's the Grand Earth Emperor, Hong Yuye said. The spirit beast said that if anyone takes its name, even the Grand Earth Emperor will be good to them, said Xiaoli in awe. Hong Yuye smiled. Then she took Xiaoli and left. Greetings, senior. I'm Xian Xen from the Black Heaven sect. Welcome, said a voice respectfully from afar. Hong Yuye didn't pay any attention to it and continued leading Xiaoli into the sect. On the way, Xiaoli talked with her happily. Senior sister, I've prepared a gift for you too. Really? What is it? Delicious pastries. It's especially delicious. Especially delicious. Yes, you should taste them. Here, take one. Give them to your senior brother. Senior sister, you are too good to him. At the same time, someone from a distance requested an audience, but none of them received a response. No one dared to approach recklessly. The imposing aura was enough to intimidate everyone. In the sky, Shenyuan Tai had completely absorbed the great force, and he now had a completely new outlook. He could even sense the presence of the Shenyuan sword under his feet and could resonate with it at any moment. Looks like junior sister Baizhu succeeded after all, he said. Shenyuan Tai calmed his breath and began communicating and resonating with the Shenyuan sword. Many people were puzzled, and some of the Black Heaven sect's elders couldn't understand why he didn't come down despite his success. Remaining in the sky was very dangerous as it made him an easy target. To some, Shenyuan Tai was still just a soul ascension realm cultivator. In the eyes of many he still seemed weak. Zhuge Jin and the others understood the reason. It seems that the Shenyuan sword is about to emerge. It will be interesting to see how profound the sword's intent is. In fact, the members of the Mountain Sea Sword sect were somewhat reluctant. They weren't disapproving of the human emperor but rather the sword's intent itself. This was because there was a record in their sect that said the sword of the human emperor could break through the 9 heavens, suppress the earth, and overturn the world with a single strike. The sword was the ultimate weapon. Various records showed that the human emperor was never a sword cultivator. As sword cultivators themselves, they didn't want to be suppressed by someone who wasn't a sword cultivator at all. Not everyone had come here for that reason. Some came to witness the sword intent of the great sword of the human emperor. Regardless of the reason, they would now achieve their goals. In the distance, Baizhu was prepared and started to imprint the sword's intent of the Shenyuan sword. Qiao Yi helped her. Auntie Qiao, this matter concerns your future. You must be careful, Baizhu said to her. What? Qiao Yi was puzzled. Baizhu didn't say anything more but simply advised her to stay focused. Outside the Black Heaven sect, the fallen immortal clan also felt it. The aura was obvious and they had gained quite a bit from it. However, they could sense that everything in the world was now vying for this energy. As for the Great Thousand God sect, they retreated. They had no reason to stay now that the event had passed. As for the Clear Sky School, they were also not taking action but were just watching the sky. Xia Dongnan was puzzled. What's going on? If you don't know, senior brother, how could we? Said the white-robed woman as she took back her magical treasure. They were actually quite curious about the dragon's shadow just now but didn't dare approach recklessly. After some thought, Feng Wei said, it might be the Shenyuan sword. The Shenyuan sword? Xia Dongnan was astonished. How much do you know about it, friend? The Shenyuan sword is right beneath the Black Heaven sect and it was suppressing something. It can't appear easily, Feng Wei said. What is the Great Earth Emperor waiting for? Asked the young woman. Because there is a formation near the Shenyuan sword, which most likely can destroy the suppressed entity, Feng Wei said. As soon as he finished speaking, a faint light appeared beneath Shenyuan Tai. The light extended from the mountain to the sky and revealed a formation in the air. That is indeed a formation. Xie Dongnan frowned slightly. What kind of formation is that? Why haven't I seen it before? Several people looked at Feng Wei. Feng Wei felt lucky that he had asked the senior from before. It's called the Burning Immortal Formation. Burning Immortal Formation? Exclaimed the young woman. I know that formation. It was created by the human race. Well, it said that the one who created this formation was an extremely talented formation master from the Heavenly Spirit tribe. He joined the human race where the human emperor appeared and devoted himself to studying formations. Eventually, he completed the Burning Immortal Formation during the war between humans and immortals, and it brought devastation to all sides. This is the first time I've seen this formation. How do you know about it? Smack. Xie Dongnan gave the young woman's head a soft smack. These are adult matters. Don't ask too many questions, child. The younger woman glared at her senior brother but remained silent. The older one turned to Feng Wei. Do you know what the Shenyuan sword looks like? It's radiant and gleaming with a golden luster, Feng Wei said without hesitation. The group exchanged glances. They found it unbelievable. According to the records, no one had seen the true form of the Shenyuan sword in countless years. This person not only knew about the Burning Immortal Formation but also knew that the sword was located beneath the Black Heaven sect. He even knew what the sword looked like. It meant that this person had seen the sword already. We're planning to travel to the southern region. Would you like to guide us? Of course, when we return we can take you with us. We can take you to the Clear Sky School. We, as disciples, cannot recruit you, but we can take you to learn from the seniors. The sect approves that. If you have extraordinary talent and a good temperament, there's a chance you might become an outer sect disciple. Feng Wei was astounded. At that moment he understood what it meant to encounter a noble person. His life had changed since meeting that senior. It was only possible for him to accept this opportunity because of that person. If he went along with them and even just traveled with them, that would be an incredible opportunity in itself. He was filled with gratitude. He now realized what a stroke of luck he had encountered. In a time of despair within the sect, someone had extended a helping hand to him. When hope seemed lost in the mine, someone appeared and pulled him out. Thank you, senior. I will do my best to be an efficient guide, he said gratefully. Now that his path had become smoother, he had to give it his all. Chapter 702. The white blade was tainted red as it came out of the back. Shenyuan Tai slowly opened his eyes. At that moment he had a smile on his face. Some people had come because of his identity as the Grand Earth Emperor, while others came for the Shenyuan sword. In principle, they shouldn't have brought out the sword at this time to keep it safe. But, as the Grand Earth Emperor, how could he just hide? Once one became a sovereign, they had to stand tall and proud. Even if he died, he couldn't bow down to anyone. With determination in his heart, he reached out his right hand and grabbed something. His voice echoed in all directions. Senior, thank you for your patience. The world will cheer for your arrival. Come. As Shenyuan Tai's palm closed, a golden light shot into the sky. Countless swords intent shattered through layers of rock and illuminated the 8 directions. It caused a commotion throughout the world. The golden sword intent reached 9 heavens and suppressed the mountains and seas. Numerous treasures shook and spiritual energy was difficult to circulate. The entire Black Heaven sect was covered by this golden sword's intent. At that moment, both the disciples and elders of the sect finally realized that the human emperor's sword was about to appear. With the emergence of the sword's intent, the burning immortal formation erupted. Numerous auras appeared, but none could surpass the sword's intent. People from the Mountain Sea Sword sect were deeply shocked by the ancient and vast sword intent. Made them feel small. Other powerful individuals felt the same way. The sage's light dimmed. Everything in the world withdrew to avoid the sharpness of the sword's intent. The Saint Bandits sighed warily and turned to leave. The human emperor's sword had slaughtered numerous immortal beings. Baizhu was excited. It's here. It's here. Finally, it's complete. Amidst the shock of countless people, the entire mountain peak shattered, and a golden sword emerged from it. The sword flew toward Shenyuan Tai and finally landed in his hand. Shenyuan Tai smiled as he gripped the sword. He was finally about to begin the sword's test. At that moment, the sword's intent exploded and illuminated the heavens and earth. Everyone lowered their heads. They were unable to look directly at it. Baizhu's magical treasure lit up and successfully imprinted the sword's intent. She also noticed that the sword's intent enveloped Xinyuan Tai. He was surrounded by layers upon layers of rocks. Until he completed the test, he would remain there. Baizhu shook her head. She had touched it just a bit and got injured, but someone was about to start the test holding that very same sword. She felt that it was too discriminatory. It's indeed shining with golden light, said Xie Dongnan in emotion. Senior brother, something big is happening, said the white-robed young woman. What's going on? Shang'an is missing. On the other side, the fallen immortal clan who had gathered enough aura, decided to leave. What about Jianghu? The leader asked. I don't know. We have lost contact with those two. It's likely that things have taken a turn for the worse. Let's not worry about it for now. Let's head back. All right. At the Heavenly Note sect, in the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Jianghu returned to his house. He immediately checked his interface. I've advanced so quickly. After mining so much, he was still far from full. But after polishing the Xinyuan sword, he was almost there. Jianghu fell into deep thought. After that, he took out the heavenly sword. If I don't use it for a year or two, will I also produce mini blue bubbles from cleaning it? The heavenly sword should be no different from the Xinyuan sword. It was a shame that he couldn't wait for 100 years without using the sword. After all, he might encounter many dangers on the way. The heavenly sword was extremely powerful. Jianghu walked to the courtyard. He found that no one had taken care of the courtyard for a long time, and it looked messy. In the past, when the spirit beast was still here, it took care of everything. But now that the spirit beast had gone to the Black Heaven sect with Shaoli, the courtyard was deserted. He thought of tidying it up, but he was still assumed to be outside the sect. So he couldn't hide here. It would be better to go outside to check the situation and then report back. After a short while, Jianghu reached the outskirts of the sect and found a senior brother in charge. He reported his name, which surprised the senior brother. After reporting, you can go back and rest, said the senior. Jianghu learned that the Heavenly Note sect now had the upper hand in the battle, so they didn't need people in lower cultivation realms to take risks. If he hadn't returned, the people from the law enforcement hall would have gone out to search. It took some time, but Jianghu reported everything. He told the senior that he had been through many difficulties and had been forced to work in the mines. He had to exert a great deal of effort to escape. The people from the Heavenly Note sect did not doubt this because it was common knowledge that captives were forced to work in the mines. Jianghu wasn't worried if they asked more questions. He had indeed gone to work in the mines. Finally, Jianghu asked about senior brother Yu Dehong. He learned that Yu Dehong had disappeared just like him. Only senior sister Ning Shuang had returned. This piqued Jianghu's curiosity. He had checked the surroundings at that time. There weren't any other enemies around. Ning Shuang didn't have the ability to kill Yu Dehong either. So how did he disappear? Jianghu shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Perhaps they had encountered something unusual. After settling the matters, Jianghu returned to his residence. On the way, he wanted to figure out what had happened. He secretly found senior sister Ning Shuang. When he reached a secluded place, he revealed himself. When she saw him, she was somewhat surprised. As senior brother Jiang, you're back? He appraised her. Jianghu just wanted to see if she had any information on Yu Dehong. Jianghu was stunned. He felt enraged. Senior brother Yu Dehong was a good person. You should have been able to see that he wouldn't have harmed you in any way, said Jianghu. Senior brother, what are you talking about? Ning Shuang looked at Jianghu in confusion. I know I shouldn't have run away, but my cultivation realm is low and I really had no choice. But I do know where senior brother Yu Dehong might be. Just before she could finish her sentence, Jianghu appeared in front of her and stabbed her with his long sword. The white sword was tainted red as it came out of her body from the back. Do you know why I appeared to you just outside the sect? I washed UST in case I had to do this. Chapter 703, I'm just trying to save myself. Ning Shuang felt the pain and looked at the person in front of her in disbelief. Are you not a good person? She asked. The person in front of her was not a cruel person, or so she thought. Considering his actions in the Cliff of Broken Hearts, he had always been kind and people could easily manipulate him. She thought that even if he returned alive, it would be easy to deal with him. But she never expected that he would attack her as soon as they met. You've disappointed me, Jianghu said coldly. You're clearly not a good person, Ning Shuang said. Like senior brother Yu Dahong? Jianghu asked in response. How do you know? Ning Shuang asked. Jianghu didn't answer. Did I do something wrong? Ning Shuang looked at Jianghu. This is a demonic sect and I can't afford any trouble. What's wrong with wanting to make myself safer? Did I do something wrong? No. Jianghu shook his head. Then why did you attack me? Ning Shuang asked. Because, Jianghu hadn't finished speaking when a light shot up into the sky with a distress signal. Jianghu looked up and saw his own name on it. How dare you try to kill me? I prepared this in advance to prevent you from suppressing me, Ning Shuang said as she looked at Jianghu with a cold smile. You talk too much and are too slow in deciding things. You gave me time. Even if I die you can't escape. It's the same outside or inside the sect. The law enforcement hall didn't investigate you before because there was no information, and there was no need to search for it. Now that everyone has seen it, they have no choice but to investigate. Do you want me to tell you why I attacked you? He asked. When will this cycle of revenge end? We have no personal disagreement. Let's just forget about it. We can pretend not to know each other, Ning Shuang said softly. Jianghu only asked, when do you think the sect's people will arrive? You should trust the law enforcement hall's efficiency, Ning Shuang said with confidence. Jianghu nodded and waited quietly. Ning Shuang was puzzled but willing to wait. Even though she was bleeding, it wouldn't take long for her to recover. Half an hour later, Jianghu looked at his junior sister. She had bled out too much. It seems you miscalculated, junior sister. Ning Shuang was shocked. Jianghu didn't explain further. He approached her, swung his sword, and beheaded her. After retrieving the storage treasure, he set her body on fire. Once everything had burned to ashes, Jianghu put away the heavenly cauldron and disappeared into the woods at the edge of the cliff. He moved at an incredible speed. In the end he found nothing there. With a sigh he disappeared. When he reappeared he was in his living room. It hadn't even been a day, but he had changed the golden ring again to ensure he had an escape tour today. Now he changed it again just in case. This time there didn't seem to be any immediate tasks in the sect. He would wait for the conflicts outside to be resolved. So far the main task was to make sure the spirit herb garden was okay. He needed to check the situation there. If Cheng Cho could single-handedly handle the garden, that would be great. If the cliff master called him to do something else, that wouldn't be good. As the day gradually darkened, Jianghu wasn't sure about the current situation of the Black Heaven sect. Whether Shenyuan Tai had become the Grand Earth Emperor and the Shenyuan sword had reappeared was still unknown. He could only wait for the gathering to begin and see what Gui would say. The next day Jianghu went to the spirit herb garden. As soon as he entered, he sensed chaos. There were far fewer people than he had expected, and most of them were outer sect disciples. Why is it so disorganized here? Jianghu asked one of the outer sect disciples. Senior brother Jianghu? You're finally back. Senior brother Cheng Cho is overwhelmed. There's a spy in the spirit herb garden who has damaged a lot of spirit herbs. In addition to the sect's needs, we're also facing losses. We're constantly being questioned. To avoid more trouble for the spirit herb garden, Senior brother Cheng Cho is personally apologizing to everyone, but we still don't know how to resolve the issue, especially since the other seniors from the sect are not here. Jianghu was surprised. The seniors might have been sent to fight like him. The other primordial spirit realm seniors were absent, so Cheng Cho was facing some difficulties. It was understandable, as there were significant losses of spirit herbs, and it should have been the responsibility of the seniors to handle the issue. However, since the seniors were not present, Cheng Cho had to take on the burden. Jianghu had returned, and the responsibility for resolving these issues now fell on him. The personal loss could be compensated, but it would be awkward if the loss had embarrassed others. Moreover, it was also a bit of Cheng Cho's fault for allowing such a serious breach to occur. Even if Jianghu wasn't here, he would still be responsible for it. Inside the spirit herb garden, Jianghu could feel the tension and panic among both the ordinary people and outer sect disciples, who were exhausted. After some thought, Jianghu approached one of the ordinary non-cultivators. He patted the person softly on the shoulder. The person was so scared that they didn't dare to move and immediately knelt on the ground. "It's me," Jianghu said calmly. The person was a teenager. He must be around 13 or 14 years old. He froze as he turned to look at Jianghu. Then he let out a sigh of relief. "Greeting, immortal elder," said the boy. "Go back and rest. Come back to work tomorrow, Jianghu said. He not only sent this person away but almost a third of the others as well. He also told a dozen or so outer sect disciples that they didn't have to come here to work anymore. They were already short-handed, so no one could understand Jianghu's decision. But no one dared to question them. Jianghu didn't explain himself to anyone. In fact, the reason was quite simple. There were 3 people among those he had sent away who seemed a bit strange, so he simply got rid of them. The spirit herb garden and those in it began to calm down. Cheng Cho was even more excited and rushed to report to Jianghu about the situation. The most damage was done to the 100 Bones Forest spirit herbs. Many valuable spirit herbs were damaged. The 100 Bones Forest. Yes. The herbs that senior sister Lian Qin brought here. Lian Qin and Bai Yi? Jianghu sighed inwardly. Just as he was about to ask, he felt the stone tablet vibrate. Was this a call for a gathering? He needed to visit the Lawless Tower as soon as possible to check the situation there. He still had most of the day ahead. Chapter 704, I admit I lost my temper. The situation at the Lawless Tower wasn't something Jianghu needed to concern himself with. However, based on what Gui and Lu had mentioned earlier, it was possible that Yin Zichen might be at the Lawless Tower. Jianghu needed to confirm this to complete both Lu and Gui's tasks. This would mean he would have 3 rewards in total. But the matter with the 100 Bones Forest needed immediate attention. An undercover agent among the ordinary people? Jianghu was quite surprised when he heard Qing Chao's report. He had inspected all the ordinary people, so there shouldn't be an undercover agent among them. However, there was a major problem. These ordinary people were just that ordinary. If any cultivator found them, it could be disastrous. Even as a cultivator, he had to be extremely cautious to survive. Yes, the person seemed strange. In the morning, he told me he wanted to go home for a visit. I suggested waiting for you to return to ask for permission. But in the afternoon, he destroyed many spirit herbs, Ching Cho said. Jianghu fell silent for a moment. What about the others? Were they harmed? No, not a single one. It was strange because that person seemed to be intentionally finding places where no one was around to destroy the spirit herbs. His body then exploded. Ching Cho was puzzled. Do you have any information about that person? Yes. After the sect is done with the battle, go and visit his home. Understood. Ching Cho didn't know what his senior brother was planning, but whatever it was, he would do it. I'll go to the 100 Bones Forest and also visit the people from other branches tomorrow, Jianghu said. Ching Cho breathed a sigh of relief. With Jianghu here, it seemed like any problem could be solved effortlessly. With a third of the workforce reduced, it was a concern. But if Jianghu was, is there any problem with your cultivation? Jianghu asked. Ching Cho mentioned some minor issues, and Jianghu spent some time addressing them before tending to the spirit herbs. In the afternoon, Jianghu arrived at the Lawless Tower. There were the usual guards there. It seems that the fight outside hasn't affected this place. I wonder if he just returned or has been here all along. Jianghu looked at the senior brother who always guarded this place. With the sect's situation improving and his own return, others might also come back. It wasn't the right time to ask about that. He made his way to the 5th floor. On the 5th level, Heavenly King Hai Luo chuckled. Who can make me do things? I'll teach people when I want to. Do you think the people of the Lawless Tower can force me to do anything at all? What about your master? Nangong Yu asked. My master? Heavenly King Hai Luo burst into laughter. My master? What a joke. I am at the peak of the primordial spirit realm. What can a golden core realm cultivator do to me? Even if I am a prisoner, a golden core realm cultivator would have to kneel before me. My master, you say? Are you serious? A glance from me and he would. Zhuang Yuzhen coughed twice. Old scum, why are you coughing? Heavenly King Hai Luo asked. Don't you believe me? You can bring someone here and I'll make him kneel. When Heavenly King Hai Luo looked toward the door, he froze on the spot. A man was standing in front of his cell. He looked as calm and humble as ever. It was Jianghu who had just arrived on the 5th floor. Heavenly King Hai Luo, I see that you are as majestic as ever, said Jianghu. Heavenly King Hai Luo slowly retracted his hand and smiled awkwardly. Did you hear all that? He asked. I did. Jianghu nodded. How much did you hear? Hai Luo asked. Jianghu thought for a moment. Everything that you said after you began with, my master? Ha ha ha. Heavenly King Hai Luo burst into a hearty laughter. He showed neither fear nor worry. He was only now aware that the man they feared was standing before them. On the other hand, Wu Yang noticed that this was the person they had been wary of all along. However, Heavenly King Hai Luo still maintained his kingly demeanor. A king was always a king no matter how he looked at it. But this Golden Core Realm cultivator didn't seem all that special. When he was about to ask further, there was a loud bang. He turned to see that Heavenly King Hai Luo was kneeling on the ground. I admit I lost my temper just now. My voice was a bit loud. I can still be quiet. Jianghu was speechless. How did it come to this? There wasn't really anything he could threaten Heavenly King Hai Luo with. He hadn't even seen Miao Anshin when he went to the Abyssal Sea. If Heavenly King Hai Luo had given up on Miao Anshin, Jianghu wouldn't have had any leverage over him. After greeting Zhuang Yuzhen, Jianghu turned his attention to the two new prisoners in adjacent cells. Both of them were at the late stage of the primordial spirit realm. Besides Heavenly King Hai Luo, they were the strongest on this floor. Weren't you in the early stage of the primordial spirit realm? Jianghu asked King Hai Luo. He just advanced, Zhuang Yuzhen said. He agreed to help the disciples of the Heavenly Note sect, which allowed him to advance, Nangongyu said. Jianghu nodded. It was the right choice. The Heavenly King was sensible, or else he wouldn't have maintained his position as the most powerful cultivator on this floor. Jianghu was even more curious about the two new prisoners. However, he didn't know how to talk to them yet. I am Wu Yang said. Jianghu was surprised that he had spoken. Zichen said. Jianghu nodded and introduced himself. Knowing the names of these two was enough. They were indeed the people he was looking for. But it's quite a coincidence that they're here together. I wonder if Gui and Lu will read too much into it. Jianghu sighed. He had wanted to complete some tasks, but doing it this way did seem peculiar. He also didn't understand why the Heavenly Note sect was so diligent in capturing people from overseas. Among the 5 here, 3 of them were from overseas. As for the other 2, he had practically delivered them to the Lawless Tower. I heard about you, Zichen said. Jianghu was puzzled. Heavenly King Hai Luo and the others mentioned you. They all seemed quite afraid. I was curious about what they are so afraid of, Zichen said. To find out, I thought I'd experience it myself and see what great abilities you possess that would make a desperate man like me fear you. Jianghu found that strange. It seemed like everyone who came here felt that way. But senior sister Insha hadn't asked for his help, so he didn't need to get involved in this matter. You must be joking, senior. I'm just an ordinary inner sect disciple with no extraordinary abilities. Is that so? Then why don't you become my disciple? I can teach you about divine abilities. In case you didn't know, I was born in the Heavenly Spirit tribe and have knowledge of the Heaven Bestowing Technique, 6 Earth Attribute Techniques and 9 Sages Techniques. Moreover, I have expertise in the way of the sword. I can teach you all of that, Zichen said as he looked at Jianghu. Jianghu felt a bit odd. This person was very forthcoming. He wanted to appraise him first. Chapter 705. Jing, were you there again? Zichen stared at Jianghu. At this point, Jianghu's daily appraisal ability had already worked. The Heart of 5 Elements. Jianghu was quite curious about this. However, he didn't want to get too cozy with someone who was only using him. He wondered where the heart of humanity was and why he wanted to use him to get it. Zichen hadn't interacted much with anyone. Maybe there was no specific reason behind why Zichen chose him. Young friend, have you thought about it? Zichen asked. You should know that the more you know and learn, the higher your status will be. Jianghu bowed and politely said, Thank you for your kindness, senior. I only have average talent and cannot learn too much. During his time here, he learned about formations from Zhuang Yuzhen and talisman making from Mi Lingyue. However, he couldn't learn much else because he couldn't understand other methods and techniques. Even if you don't want to improve, let me see why Heavenly King Hai Luo respects you so much. I'll teach you for free, said Zichen. Jianghu glanced at him and didn't respond. He came to visit the Lawless Tower to confirm whether Zichen was here. Other than that, he didn't want to get involved in unnecessary matters. Young friend, Wu Yang said, I know of a place where you can find an inheritance. I heard you brought wine for disciple Zhuang. Can you also bring some for me? Jianghu looked at him and said politely, I'm sorry to disappoint you, senior, but my seniors here don't let me do anything without their permission. For such a small matter, it shouldn't be a problem, Wu Yang insisted. Jianghu shook his head. Just this once. I enjoy good wine and would like to have a taste. I will also give you an honest account of the situation inside that place where you'll find the inheritance. I am aware of the potential dangers and can explain them to you. Wu Yang tried to persuade Jianghu, but he refused. Jianghu bowed apologetically and then approached Zhuang Yuzhen. Wait, Nangong Yu quickly said, I've already told you about the blood pool, so at least tell me what that person said in the end. I've been quite cooperative. I've shared everything with the Heavenly Note sect as long as it doesn't involve our secrets. Is what he said really that important to you? Jianghu asked. It might not be crucial for you, but it is very important to me, Nangong Yu said. Jianghu lowered his head and thought. He thanked me. And then? I remember that person gave you something, Nangong Yu said. Jianghu shook his head. Why are you shaking your head? Is it a refusal to tell me or you really don't know? Nangong Yu asked anxiously. He ignored her. Instead, he went to Zhuang Yuzhen to ask about the recent developments at the Lawless Tower. Lately there haven't been many people here, and it seems the guards here have decreased a lot, Zhuang Yuzhen said. Jianghu nodded. It appeared that the Lawless Tower had also been affected after all. The current state of the Heavenly Note sect was indeed quite fragile. He still hadn't dealt with what happened to senior brother Chen Chen. He hadn't gone to check the spirit herbs and pills yet. He needed to visit as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the law enforcement sect started an investigation, he would lose everything. However, the blood wish pill needed to stay behind. Jianghu had already appraised it. He could only say without a doubt that senior brother Chen Chen was a genius of his time. The blood wish pill did away with the cruelty of the blood wish path but retained the advantage. It enhanced the success rate of alchemy, and the effects were even better than traditional alchemy. The blood wish path was the way of alchemy. It required the blood of the person for whom the alchemy was intended. It was indeed a pioneering alchemy method with its own advantages. Jianghu was aware that this alchemy method should not remain in obscurity. Whether it should be handed over to the sect depended on whether senior brother Chen Chen's successor was suitable. If they managed to popularize the alchemy method, he would hand over the blood monument to them. If they didn't achieve much, he would turn it over to the sect. For the sake of the Candlelight Pill Pavilion, he would pioneer a new field. Jianghu realized he hadn't made time to contact Chu Zhong lately. Zhuang Yuzhen didn't seem to have any plans to return. It was different from Heavenly King Hai Luo. King Hai Luo still had the recognition of the Sea Realm and his own unique Heavenly King's fortune. On the other hand, Zhuang Yuzhen, although he had his corpse heart, could not advance to the final step without revealing the information about the Heavenly Fragrance Dao Flower and was stuck here. For him there was no problem staying here. Perhaps one day, his corpse heart would bloom, and he would free himself from this predicament. Jianghu visited senior brother Chen Chen's house next. It was a place with an abundance of spiritual energy, and an array protected it. Inside there were quite a few spirit herbs. While there weren't many top-grade spirit herbs, it was sufficient. A single top-grade spirit herb was already worth quite a sum. After evaluating his haul, he found that he had gained quite a bit this time. However, the issue was how to put these items to use. Regarding pills, there weren't many, and most of them were for Golden Core and Foundation Establishment Realm. After wandering around for a while and confirming that there wasn't anything else he could take with him, he left. According to the agreement, he would hand over the blood monument to senior brother Chen Chen's successor. He would observe them once a year. Upon returning to his house, Jianghu originally wanted to plant spirit herbs. After hesitating for quite a bit, he decided to use the universe in a palm and seal them. At this point he had 48,000 spirit stones, thanks to the addition of Ning Shuang's storage treasure. She had quite a few spirit stones and a spatial treasure. However, her spatial treasure had the limitation of only being usable once a month, after accumulating enough power. It wasn't like the 1,000 miles teleportation talisman, which could be used continuously. It would be a waste to sell them. When someone goes down the mountain, it could save their lives. That way they won't encounter any problems and rush back here. After that, Jianghu walked into his house. Everything was ready. He only had to wait for the gathering to begin. This time, the main purpose was probably to discuss the Shenyuan sword and see if Shenyuan Tai had succeeded. At midnight, Jianghu successfully entered the public area. Senior Dan Yuan was seated at the top. This time there was no question about their cultivation realms. Instead, he immediately asked about the situation with the Shenyuan sword. I heard that the Grand Earth Emperor has appeared, and the Shenyuan sword has emerged as well. Did you help Gui? Everyone looked at Gui. However, Gui glanced at Jing. I did find the Shenyuan sword, but someone else had arrived there first and done everything. Why are you looking at me? It's just a coincidence, muttered Jianghu. Others were also quite surprised. Jing, were you there again? Senior Dan Yuan asked with a smile. It was just a coincidence that I passed by, Jianghu said in a low voice. He told them the truth. Chapter 706. This time it wasn't me. Jianghu sighed inwardly. He didn't want to get too involved and he didn't want to draw too much attention to himself. Doing things discreetly and occasionally being noticed were enough for him. He wanted to maintain his current impression without overdoing it. Jing, what did you do? Xing asked curiously. When I found the Shenyuan sword, I realized that not only had the formation been completed, but the necessary power had also been replenished. Moreover, the contamination on the Shenyuan sword had been cleared, Gui said. Contamination on the Shenyuan sword? Lu was somewhat puzzled. Gui nodded. The Shenyuan sword seals the treasure of the fallen immortal clan, which contaminates the sword. Over the years, the contamination has accumulated. It seems that Jing has done a lot, Dan Yuan said with a smile. So, did the Grand Earth Emperor appear successfully? Did he obtain the sword too? Xing asked. The Grand Earth Emperor succeeded, but the process wasn't smooth. It was said that the presence of the Dragon Clan was needed. So, even when Shang and of the Clear Sky sect arrived, he couldn't help in the end, Gui said. The others remained silent and listened. The Black Heaven sect also summoned a true dragon's shadow, but it still wasn't enough. It wasn't until a blue beam of light appeared that a colossal dragon descended. It helped the Grand Earth Emperor absorb the great force, said Gui and looked at Jing again. Don't look at me. I really had nothing to do with it. Jianghu thought bitterly. Xiaoli might have made that possible. She was indeed a true dragon with a remarkable background. Shenyuan Tai's success relied heavily on Xiaoli's visit to the Black Heaven sect, but the people at the gathering gave him the credit. Jing, do you know what exactly happened? Lu asked. He had witnessed the blue beam of light, and his immediate thought was of smiling San Sheng. At that time, Jing might have been smiling San Sheng for all they knew. Jianghu didn't answer and no one pressed him further. This was how the gathering worked. If someone didn't answer, no one would insist. What happened to the Xuanvuan sword in the end? Xing asked Gui. It went silent, she said. Jianghu was surprised. Why did it fall silent? Gui didn't wait for them to ask. I learned later that seizing the Shenyuan sword meant undergoing a trial. The Grand Earth Emperor held it and he was performing a test. His whole being was shrouded by the sword's will. The trial seemed to be quite long, which is why the Grand Earth Emperor and the Shenyuan sword fell silent. The Black Heaven sect could do nothing. Is a trial required every time you touch it? Lu was curious. Gui, did you? Gui smiled. No, I didn't. What about you, Jing? Jianghu thought for a moment but couldn't remember the Shenyuan sword requiring a trial from him, even though he had pulled it out. Not really, said Jianghu. Here he was a mysterious figure, not an omnipotent one. There was no need to lay claim to everything. Didn't the Black Heaven sect fight? Lu asked. No. Gui shook her head. The Saint Bandits were there. The Great Thousand God sect, the fallen immortal clan, and the end of all things were all there. But none of them made a move. There were people from the mountain and sea. Sword sect and the Clear Sky school too. Jianghu was quite surprised. There were so many forces involved, and what was even more surprising was that none of them had resorted to violence. Had they all reached some kind of agreement or were they looking out for their own interests? It was probably the latter. Nonetheless, the Clear Sky school had arrived. It was near the Black Heaven sect, but it wasn't very far from the Heavenly Note sect either. Sooner or later they might come looking for him or the Corpse Realm flower. Did you manage to imprint the sword's intent, Gui? Asked Xing, of course. I'll pass it to you in the usual way, Gui said with a smile. I will have your reward ready. Xing nodded. Gui didn't mind, and then she thought of something and turned to Senior Dan Yuan. Senior, if the Shenyuan sword is in a state of sealing something, can it still be touched or pulled out? Jianghu also looked in Dan Yuan's direction. Although he knew the answer, he was curious about Senior Dan Yuan's answer. Was the burning immortal formation complete by then? Asked Dan Yuan. After Gue replied positively, he said, then, it should be possible to pull it out as long as you are capable. Gue nodded. A moment later she looked at Jing. The end of all things has recently taken action again. Jing, are you free lately? I want to find Yin Zichen. I need to find his whereabouts as soon as possible. Yin Zichen is in the lawless tower of the Heavenly Note sect, said Jianghu. Gue was stunned. She had planned to visit each sect secretly but had unexpectedly found the answer she needed. She was well aware of the lawless tower of the Heavenly Note sect. Is Wu Yang there too? Lu asked. Yes, he's there as well, Jianghu said. Lu and Gue were both surprised that they had found their targets so quickly and that they were both in the lawless tower of the Heavenly Note sect. They couldn't help but wonder if the best approach would be to just find someone in the lawless tower next time. What is the Heavenly Note sect trying to do? Xing couldn't help but ask. Whether it was the people they were looking for or those Gue and Lu were searching for, they all seemed to be in the Heavenly Note sect. It felt like the sect was capturing people and placing them in the tower for something. However, it was also possible that some people chose to hide there willingly, such as King Hai Luo. Xing wasn't the only one who was confused about it. Jianghu was also clueless. He could access various secrets but remained oblivious to the goals of the high-ranking members of the sect. Of course, the less he knew, the safer he was within the sect. Otherwise, he'd attract more trouble. What kind of reward do you want, Jing? Gue asked. Since she now knew the location of Yin Zichen, she would naturally need to provide something as compensation. Help me deliver a letter, Jianghu said quietly. To whom? Gue asked. Just to someone in the southern region, Jianghu said. Gue didn't ask any further questions. After that, Jianghu turned to Senior Dan Yuan for the stone tablet to appear for trade. A moment later he informed Gue of the letter's content and the target. What can I do for you, Jing? Lu asked. For overseas matters, Jianghu only needed information about Qi Tian's current situation. He wanted to know what Qi Tian was up to. 3 updates would be enough. All right. Lu nodded in agreement. Without further discussion, Xing shared some information. I heard that the Bright Moon sect's secret treasury has been closed and the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is about to step into the mortal realm. This news has spread throughout the eastern region. So soon? What's her current cultivation realm? Gue was surprised. With her progress till now, she might not even be at the primordial spirit realm yet. A talent like her should not be stepping into the mortal realm with just a golden core realm cultivation. The Bright Moon sect was truly bold. Jianghu was also surprised. It seemed he would have to arrange for Chu Chuan to leave the mountain. However, Chu Chuan had yet to reach the golden core realm. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.